Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night? Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night? Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night? Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Oh, look at me. I'm retarded. I'm a globe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind, coming to you live 250 miles above your imagination in this IT nightmare we call the International Fake Station. I'm here with my co-pilot and good friend from the Chinese Space Agency, Something Wong, who will be supervising from behind the scenes and making sure that we are zooming along at 17,500 miles an hour flawlessly over this beautiful globe. Yeah, that's what we're doing up here. And we're doing all kinds of pressure tests. I was just in the middle of doing a pressure test when the show broke in. Houston got a hold of me and said, Sav, you got a show. And I was like, damn it, we're in the middle of a pressure test. And I was like, well, okay, anyway, whatever. We're going to get her done. I got people backstage already real quick. Let me give a shout out to the people that are in the chat already. My goodness gracious. Look at all these people. Axis Mundi, Jehovah's lovely daughter, Barbara, Roger Ledwell. We've got Liv Kung Fu Shaolin, a grasshopper, Smoking in G Sharp with us tonight. Saddle Bum. Nice to see you again. Always here. Got some loyal people that come and see every show. It's awesome. We got Unindoctrinated here. We've got Chicago Cubby Bear. The usual suspects are all here. The usual suspects. That's right. I think this is Carrie Skates is out there. Twilight Nights, always like the first one in here. Amazing. Jonathan Pernice has joined us as well. We're going to go ahead and let me get over here to this thing. And let's see. All right. So we've already got L is backstage right now. So we're going to bring him up. Welcome L to the show. Letting a few people get rolling in here a little bit. Oh, what happened? They really like you, man. I don't know why that happened. You know why? You know why? Because it's the crack that we gave out to get people to come in and watch the show in the studio audience. We said, you want to come watch a live show? And they said, no. I said, there's crack. And they was like, we're in. Son of a bitch, get out of my head. Right? So what's going on, Al?
And Nothing much. Just,
All right.
chilling.
Well, I know you already know about this little.
Oh, yeah, is this the Veritas guy? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so he's got the Latin name Veritas as his that's the name of his thing right there, Veritas. And of course, we know in truth that, or in Latin, that means truth. And so it shouldn't. I'm starting to get the idea after he appeared on Flatsoid that we should change his name to Decepio, which is of course Latin for deception, because he said he went into this with an objective viewpoint. He said it wasn't any kind of an apologetic type of I don't know what I called it, damage control for the globe, because the globe's getting destroyed here lately.
Yeah, like it's not biased yet. It's called like in the thumbnail, they're wrong about everything.
Yes. Now, how is that?
Flatlines, you're done, you're debunked. All you're wrong about literally everything, and you're insane, and you're Nazis. Literally, like it's not a hit piece. Yeah, we're Nazis.
It's a level of indoctrination that I have yet to see regarding anything else. I've never seen anything this type of indoctrination in people. And I'm pretty sure you were there the other night when he was on Flatsoid's show discussing this 2 days ago. And he came up on the panel, the guy that made the video. And I stumped him. I stumped his ass. So Flatsoid clipped this. This was great because this definitely shows the level of indoctrination that the belief in the globe actually is. This was a priceless reaction, and I have to thank this guy for just being natural. So check this out. This is crazy. Of course, he's the one down here on the bottom right here. And we'll just let that play. You like logic and reason. Now, outside of being told that you live on a globular Earth rolling around through a solar system, what in your daily experiences and or observations that you make on a daily basis throughout your life would lead you to the conclusion that you must be on a ball that is rotating through a solar system? Where would that idea come to you from?
I don't.
Crickets.
Nowhere. You.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out, like, if this conversation is worth having.
You said you liked logic, so that it went from that question to looking for. I don't even know if I want to have this discussion. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what is known cognitive dissonance. That was it in its truest form, right there. Yeah, that was definitely it in its truest form, and quite amazing. I mean, it's like I don't think I've gotten quite that reaction, because immediately these guys always want to scream, sunset, star rotation, and it's like, wait, even when you pin them down on that. So you see the sun go out of your sight into the horizon, and that makes you conclude that you're on a ball that's rotating. Why? So they don't have an answer then either. Because you have to get rid of that whole predisposition, that preconceived notion right off the bat, because it goes against any observation. Nobody observes a ball. Nobody observes a spherical Earth. Nobody experiences movement. All the claims of the globe go against observational reality. But people have been conditioned to believe that, well, I can't trust my senses and I don't feel it because of some horse shit that Einstein said.
It's a constant movement, and we can't feel that.
Yeah. In different directions that are perpendicular to one another at the same time. I mean, come on.
Like 4 different directions at once.
Yeah.
All at different speeds, and it slows down during its orbit.
Yep. And
Wild.
speeds back up.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. Also, was it like summer is when it's farther away from the sun and winter's when it's closer to the
Yeah.
sun or something? That's
Yeah, I think
wild.
it's like 1,000,000 miles or something like that. This is
Yeah.
their claim, of course. We know it's not 93 million miles average to begin with. That's stupid. That kind of distance doesn't even really exist in reality. Okay, that's just a made up mathematical construct. It's no way that anybody calculated that correctly or anything else about it. Because that whole thing, when you look into how they figured out the distance and size of the sun, you start with Copernicus at 3 million miles. You get all the way up to 105 million miles and then back down to 93 million, all over the span of since Copernicus. Now, that's only an error of 90 million miles. Come on.
And then Newton's like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, he calculated it twice. The first time he calculated it, he came up with 28 million. And then he did it a second time, and he came up with 54 million. So he damn near had to double it. And he was quoted as saying, whether it be 28 million or 54 million, it does not matter. It suits our purpose.
Yeah.
Now, that's very telling.
It matters not. He said.
Yeah.
You really got Red's rhetoric on this because he was doing his like distances and he kept on saying, well, how did you get that? How did you get that? And when you peel it back, the foundation, when you peel it back, is always something that you've assumed. And then you point it out and they're like, what?
Yeah. That's what I did to Red. I was like, wait a second. And the whole thing before he came on, I said, yes, you can use all the calculations you want to. Here's the deal, though. You're not allowed to use any assumptive values. And so that's why I pinned him down on these values. So where did you get this distance to Mars? Where did you astrometry? Yeah, I know, measuring the stars. How did you measure them? Nobody's ever seen stars parallax with one another. Nobody's ever seen that shit. The only ones that they can claim a parallax with are the ones that move. And then again, that's just kinematic equivalency. I don't know how they get it. Was it 5 out of 5
Bryantists
vote for Trump? Because he talks like me. Yeah. Listen, that dog and pony show is really gearing up, isn't it? It's almost like the people are waking up. We have to do something. We have to do something. So they start just like bombing everybody with space shit. You know, oh, there's another launch. We got 5 launches this week. Look at the Starlinks. Everybody look. Yeah. This guy spends his time to put out an 8-hour fucking hit piece on flat earthers. Really? Who the fuck does that? I went to his channel, right? And I looked in his other videos on shit that he makes, other than him streaming a video game that he's playing, are nowhere near that length. And he claims he cherry picked all this footage and put it together all himself. And I'm calling bullshit on that.
I mean, if you go to the description, he cites Dave McKeegan, Mick Toon, and Fight the Flat Earth as his, people that helped him make the video.
Well, duh, of course.
There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same people, same stuff.
He told us nobody helped him or collaborated with him.
He literally says that he uses their clips and they were a big help in the video. You can go in the description. I even screenshotted it. I'll actually just read it for you right now.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm over there.
Where is it? Because I did give a little screenshot. Yeah. Massive thanks to McToon, FDFE official, and Dave McKeegan for taking the time to sit and chat with me. Show them and their channel some love.
Yeah. And he straight up said that
consistently cites them throughout the video.
And he straight up said on Flatzoids that he did not collaborate with anybody.
Also,
liar. Well, how dare he call himself Veritas?
Yeah, 6 hours and 40 minutes, 51 seconds is the best chapter. It's called The Deep Connection Between Flat Earth and Anti-Semitism. It's the best part.
Well, I got a little tiny clip here that I found right at the beginning. And this was, I thought, funny because it's the wait, let's see. We got to get it up just a little bit. Whoa, back a little bit. Damn it. This thing's hard to get to the right place. Let's see. I can get it right up to about. Damn it. Or wish you could just type in a timestamp. There, I guess this is close enough. It'll be 15 seconds. Let me cue it up real quick. What the fuck, man? I stopped it at 420 up here and the goddamn thing backed up on me. Stay where I put you, you fuck. There. Let me back it up just a skosh. Anyway, this is a clip where I was at. This is hard to get to stuff because it's damn near 8 hours. And you're trying to zoom back and forth to find a certain thing, even when you're like trying to, man, 1/16 of an inch is like 25 minutes. It's insane. Anyway, this is good old Sav. I don't know what he was trying to do here, but he appropriately did it at 420. So let me see if I can just go back a little.
That must have been intentional.
God damn him.
That had to be intentional.
Yeah, yeah.
At the 420 mark.
Oh my God. I hate this fucking shit. Let me let this play up just a little bit.
Watch out for like the copyrighted music as well.
About 4 years ago, I stumbled across something that changed my life. And others around me, too. I discovered the flat Earth.
Now, I don't quite remember when or exactly how, but at some point recently, I got sucked into the, let's just say, fascinating world of those that believe the Earth is flat, and the debates that take place between them and those who attempt to defend the generally accepted scientific model. It's harder than you'd think attempting to describe exactly why I personally find this discourse appealing.
Just stop being a condescending prick, all right? Try.
Why
Try
don't
for a
you
few
stop
minutes.
condescending to the entire human race and pretending that every scientist ever is a liar and satanic deceiver? That's much more offensive than me calling you stupid, which you
Dave,
are.
Dave, what is the sun?
I've come to discover that there's quite a lot you can learn about somebody by how they react when you just so happen to let it slip that you have a morbid fascination with spending some amount of your free time watching two adults argue with each other publicly on the internet about the shape of the Earth.
What's that?
Where's your camera, dude?
My camera, dude? My camera's right there. I'm getting ready to hit a bong.
You don't want to show a bong hit on camera? Okay, dude.
No, I don't want you to see it. No, I usually hit it on bong, but I was worried about you rebroadcasting. I was being courteous to you, but if you don't mind, I don't mind.
No, I really don't give a shit.
All right, cool.
Now, there's something about this particular topic.
Now, see, that was what? For what reason? What was the reason
That was
behind having that?
that was definitely not to make you look bad. Okay,
No,
that was
no.
a fair, honest, unbiased representation of like
Well-
what, like a 2-hour debate.
Yeah.
You know, he definitely chose not to show anything. You just completely wrecking the guy or asking a question. No. He showed that clip because he's a fair, honest guy. Okay, honest analysis.
Well, see, the whole thing was that whole exchange right there. I shut my camera off because I don't know what his rules on his show are. If he doesn't want somebody hitting a bong on his show, and he was rebroadcasting it. So I was being courteous by shutting off my camera so that he didn't inadvertently rebroadcast me doing that. And then I said, well, if you ain't got a problem, I ain't got a problem. And I didn't shut it off again. So what was the purpose behind that? No, we're not trying to be deceptive. Let's see.
It was the most fair, objective analysis that you could do. It just had to be done. Same with the whole section calling us Nazis. That was also necessary.
Here, where's this at? This is something going on there. Let me see. Is that? Yeah, I guess that's me coming up on there for some reason. What is this guy doing? There's Toon. Now this guy, whew. Captain, you better check your dipstick, brother. I believe you down a court, man. Wow. This guy, and really unhinged, man. I mean, this guy is supposedly, this is what gets me about this Duffy character is he's collaborating with this guy. Where's his discernment, man? Where's this pastor of the Lord? Where is his discernment with this clearly insane psychopath that seethes and gets angry and cusses people out because they don't believe his hokum? You know, yeah, that's a real Christian. So right there shows me that this guy doesn't have any discernment of himself. And then to blatantly be a liar himself, you know, I mean, come on. So these guys, every one of them, this is part of that projection. I believe that McToon's got the phrase, "Oh, gotta lie to flurf," right? That's total fucking projection because that's all we find with these guys. Man, I'm telling you, when I first heard that McToon was involved with this final experiment shit, red flags went up with trumpet fanfare. I went, something's fucking rotten in Denmark. And then the fact that these guys were so eager to jump onto it right away tells me that they had all kinds of foreknowledge about the shit, right? No questions, just, yeah, we'll do it. Fuck yeah, right? Come on. They give away themselves all the time. And I'm telling you right now, there's something funky going on with this fucking Antarctic trip.
And you've got to get jabbed to go, apparently.
No.
Did they change it?
He was asking, Duffy was asked that last night on Jeranism, and he said, no, that's not a requirement. So,
oh, all right then. Okay. Well, I mean, that's cool.
That would definitely be out. I mean, that would clearly make it so no flat earther went, because I don't know any flat earthers that fell for the bullshit. I really don't. You know, it seems to be only these types that fell for it, which is good if it's doing what they say. I'm like, we need to get rid of these people somehow, man, for real. Anyway,
tell you, if Cat's gonna argue over this, why do you guys think they're gonna not argue over something even deeper? Come on now. Okay.
Because you're wrong. Okay. Because none of this is right.
Your false attempt at math. Yes.
Man, I can't get this.
Sweden, I don't know what
to go to where I
Now,
want
let's
it
be
to
honest
for
here.
shit.
There really isn't any shame in forgetting.
You know what I mean? Maybe this works a little better. What was the timestamp you told me you wanted to go to?
Who, me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Let me go find it. I took a screenshot of it. Hold on, because it's just like hilarious. Let me go. It's very far in the video though. 6 hours and 40 minutes.
6:40. Okay, we'll go back to that. Here,
Well,
I think I figured out how to do this. Use.
But if you don't understand what they're talking about, then how can you properly decipher what they're telling you? So
It's
again,
the absence of positive pressure.
I go back to my original question. Do you believe that a negative exponent on a number makes that number negative?
I'm just telling you what the fucking number that your people give us. What is it then? What is the number? What is the pressure of space?
It makes
what is the pressure? Hold on, Red. What is the pressure of space?
It makes it a decimal.
Also, that 10 to the negative 11 is wrong. Okay. 10 to the negative 11 is what's claimed to be on the moon. 10 to the negative 17 is what is claimed to be in space. So this guy's full of shit right to start with.
Decimal point, not a negative number.
Okay.
So for you to say
Cool.
that NASA is claiming that they're asserting negative PSI means you fundamentally do not understand what NASA's been telling you. So this entire time, you've been arguing
10 to the negative 11. Okay, well, you tell me what the pressure of space is then, Red.
Or you want to evacuate the chamber so that you can do it in a partial vacuum, like 10 to the negative 17 torr, right? Is 10 to the negative 17?
You can't get 10 to the negative 17 torr. You can't get it. The Glen Allen Research Facility in Sandusky, Ohio, the biggest vacuum chamber in the world, can only get to a pressure approximate to that of what they claim to be at the Kármán line. I've got that actually written down. So McToon, once again, you're full of shit. As a Christmas goose, I have it in one of my little notebooks up here. Just one moment. I'm pretty sure it's one of these two because I've got all that data. Un momento. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, at the Carmen line, 62 miles. 1 to the negative 1 times 10 to the negative 3 is what they've got there. Okay, at that, and I don't think they can even get it down to there and maintain it. So it's 1 Pascal, and that's even claimed at 327,000 feet. Because see, there's 3 types. There's a low vacuum, high vacuum, and an ultra high vacuum. Okay, a low vacuum is 760 torr, which is what we're undergoing right now. 760 torr is what 14 point psi works out. That's considered a low vacuum, and that's all the way up to 10 to the negative 3 torr. So that's low vacuum. That's not space. High vacuum is anything above 10 to the negative 3 to 10 to the negative 9 torr. So let's see. Yeah, okay. So ultra high vacuum, negative 10 to the negative 9 to 10 to the negative 12 torr. But you know, in reality, these are theoretical and never been shown to actually exist in nature at all. So there again, more mathematical constructs. What was that timestamp again, my friend? 6 and what? 6 minutes what? L? Hello, L.
Oh, 6 hours.
Oh, 6 hours.
6 hours for a 51.
6 hours. And what's the minutes?
40 minutes and 51 seconds.
40 minutes.
And 51 seconds.
40. Oh.
There we go. There we go. But like skip back a bit. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
But like skip back like 10 seconds or something.
That's what I was doing. Damn it.
All right.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah.
But he had to disclose their name or anything like that. You're over 15% of an NFL locker room.
It's crazy, dude.
What?
Maybe
I'm
over
telling
20.
you.
That's insane.
Dude, everyone gets hit in the head. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Now, if you somehow manage to stick around long enough, you will inevitably come to find out that these connections don't just stop there.
You watch a documentary, it will change your life, dude. There's cures for cancer. There's a cure for AIDS. I just became vegan this last year, bro. I'm like, Pepsi had aborted babies, like the little fecal cells inside of their flavoring.
Now, if you stick around for a little bit longer, you'll begin to see another pattern, an inescapable connection between flat earthdom and even more disgusting and problematic worldviews. The most common one being something that you've likely caught a whiff of already in little bits and pieces throughout this video. And it exists as a necessity, a requirement for a worldview based on a conspiracy of this proportion to be remotely viable or consistent, one that has no actual evidence to back it up. Somebody needs to be at the heart of it, someone with evil, selfish, and sinister motives. Somebody capable of a coordinated, multi-generational plot involving all world governments and billion-dollar corporations. Somebody with the connections, the will, and the resources required to pull it off. Somebody who just so happens to be at the heart of nearly every other global conspiracy they believe.
The Jesuit. Those aren't Jesuits.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's what I was surprised with. I thought that he was going to say Jesuits, but no, he just rants on about Jews for ages.
Yeah, the guy must be an anti-Semite.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, who dedicates a whole part of the video to it?
Right. I was, oh yeah, who's behind it? Great. He's going to get into the Jesuits, and he's like
Jesuits, Freemasons, you know.
He's just bashing on Jews. This guy's an anti-Semite, man. He's a liar and an anti-Semite. What a piece of crap.
Conspiracy theories play a central role in extremist politics of all time, and anti-Semitism has a very strong traditional role within conspiracy theories. And this is why repeatedly we see anti-Semitism cropping up in the language, in the discourse of extremist movements of all times.
See, he's wrong because, as everybody knows, the leading cause of anti-Semitism is, of course, Jewish behavior. I mean, not hard.
Literally.
Whether they are far right, far left, radical Islamist movements, and even New Age movements, we often find anti-Semitic conspiracy
Absolutely, Riley.
theories.
Now, it's not merely that conspiracy theories like Flat Earth share so many common threads with the worldview and mindset that enables anti-Semitism. It's that they're actually just cut from the same cloth.
French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre tried to get inside the minds of bigots with his famous essay, Anti-Semite and Jew.
Holy fucking shit, what is that?
Yeah. It's a guy called Philosophy Tube.
Is it a guy that identifies as Patty Hearst? What in
It's
the
a
world?
guy. It's a guy. Yeah.
That's a guy?
Yeah, who's trying to not be a guy.
Obviously. A couple more gallons of soy and you'll be right there, my man. Have a good night. Shoo.
It's like planar walk.
Sartre famously claimed that anti-Semitism is a fundamentally irrational passion.
Oh my
Anti-Semites
word.
say things for which there's no evidence, or they contradict what they said 5 minutes ago, or they just flat out don't make sense.
Right. So you guys call it Zionism. We're on page there. ADL attacks you. You automatically get points for that. That means you're probably saying something based, right? That's cool. MMX showed that the earth wasn't moving. And then they bring in Einstein, who gives Jewish mysticism to the world and says that time slows down and the ruler contracted, but looks like it's the same size. Trust me, bro. And it made the earth look like a stationary. It's Jewish mysticism saying that the creator created a giant illusion to deceive us into the earth being stationary. Do you actually believe that? Flashback. Purely speculation. I don't know what the moon is at all. It's a very beautiful thing. The creator made the heavens so that you can't understand them, so that you have to acknowledge that he exists.
End of flashback.
The Jews are in fucking, they freaking control all of everything. I mean, if you, okay, 9/11, back to that.
Adolf Hitler, they have reincarnated him. He has been cloned. A little short guy with the funny mustache, about yay tall.
How do you stand on Hitler? Do you believe in, if you...
What they do, just like go find the kookiest fucking people they could.
Yeah, I know. And be like, hey, what do you think about Hitler?
Yeah, I mean,
That's what they do. Just, okay, this guy looks fucking off his rocker. Let's see what he thinks about Hitler.
this guy, this is what I was saying on Flats today. This thing, we can just go anywhere to any one of these sections and find the bullshit in it. And I think it's fun as hell to do. Yeah, I suggest that Veritas change his name to Decepio. Absolutely, man. You come on and then come on Flatsoid and say, no, he did an objective thing and he didn't, he had no collaboration with any of these fucking retards. And it straight up gives them thanks for their collaboration.
I know, right? Wild.
What a fucking liar. And you know that now here's what I got to figure out. And it right again points to a organized thing, right? So why does it happen to be those three? They're all, what the fuck, right? Who are they working for? Who are all these guys working for? They're not doing this on their own. They're not doing this shit on their own. Come on. Now, I know a lot of flat earthers, and it's, quite a ordeal a lot of times to get, like, because of time zones and shit like that. Like, if I want to do a show and have Flatzoid on or and Jaron, I'm dealing with 3 different types of time zones. I certainly don't have the time to go through and put together an 8-hour fucking hit piece. That just reeks of desperation. And you know what that means? That means we're winning, man. That means we're winning. This is what it feels like to win. To watch the enemy scramble and panic before you. What did Conan say? He says, crush the enemy, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women and children. That is the art. That's what battle is all about right there. The glory of battle, to see the enemy driven before you and hear the lamentation of their women and children. Yes, we are winning, folks.
Research Hitler at all?
He realized that the flat Earth model was correct and went to seize the gate of the South in what we call Antarctica, a place called New Berlin, Antarctica.
So Hitler discovered the flat Earth theory, and the Nazis built a city in Antarctica under the ice.
Now I'm shamelessly going to share a
Now I'll tell you something, man. I've been to some meetups and I went to the Flat Earth Convention, and there's a lot of really nice people and stuff. Some of them are out there really fringe. You're going to find people within that know the earth is flat, that think other things that are outlandish, you know? And the reason for that is because we're people. Okay? It's not a race. Flat earthers not a race. It's not a species. Okay? It's people. And so this attempt to try to divide by putting people in a classification pigeonhole, which has never worked for anybody trying to do that with me. I cannot be pigeonholed. It's so fucking unique, it's not even funny. Okay? And this really blows their minds that I'm not programmed with the standard responses. Someone who's always aware that there's a third option. They're not used to that shit. And this is what gets me about these guys, man. This is what gets me.
a few excerpts from the Wikipedia page for this book, because what's written there simply says it better than I could myself. As I read this, think about how what's being said applies to what we've seen over the last few hours of this video from the Flat Earthers. I personally find these similarities uncanny. For Sartre, the anti-Semite has escaped the insecurity of good faith, the impossibility of sincerity. He has abandoned reason and embraced passion. The rational man groans as he gropes for the truth. He knows that reasoning is no more than tentative, that other considerations may intervene to cast doubt on it. Anti-Semites are attracted by the durability of the stone. What frightens them is the uncertainty of truth. The anti-Semite has chosen hate because hate is a faith. He has escaped responsibility and doubt. He can blame anything on the Jew. He does not need to engage reason, for he has his faith. We have here a basic fear of oneself and of truth. Since they are afraid of reasoning, they wish to live the kind of life wherein reasoning and research play only a subordinate role, wherein one seeks only what he has already found, wherein one becomes only...
What in the fuck has this got to do with the flat Earth?
It is literally, it's the most insane shit ever. Like,
nothing to
honestly,
do with flat Earth.
he wants to call us, and he does in the video, he calls us that we've been deceived by, you know, like lunatics and grifters, and he's got a whole section just saying that we're like Nazis, basically. Wow.
No, this
is wild.
This ought to be interesting. Why you can't accurately map the flat Earth. We've gone over that here before as well, haven't we? That we have calculated distances and we have actual measured distances. Once we get past the equator, we've now lost sight of our only stationary reference point, and we're left relegated to nothing but time and movement. You see? And how do you know how fast you've gone? See, this is why when they have like the speed record for sailing in the South is like 4 knots. Why? Is the water turned to molasses or something? It's because it's based on a calculation on supposed meridians. Okay, the meridians in the South are not correct. This is why there's constant meridian correction needed in the geographic positioning system software. It's just constantly trying to make you think you're on a globe when it's not. And so it constantly has to make these corrections. It's ridiculous. The effort involved, which is this is obviously very, very important, or they wouldn't put so much fucking effort into it. Let me see if I can go back just a little bit with this. Whoops.
You can use your arrow keys, by the way.
I can.
Yeah, like if you just not go on like the chapter bit, if you just normally like press play, then
So
you
if
can
I
use your
go-
back arrow key to go back 10 seconds. Or 5, yeah.
Okay, I see. Wait a second. I was almost right there.
And then up and down is volume.
Is this the right spot? Oh yeah, wait. I see the chapter down there now. Why you can't accurately. There, that's close enough. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that. I did not know that. All right.
You're welcome.
I'm all technographically challenged sometimes when it comes to this shit. So this
Boomer.
is why you can't accurately map the world. Okay.
Namely,
Yep.
that he could accurately model a three-dimensional object in 2 dimensions. Unless you're literally looking at a globe, the vast majority of the time that we interact with maps, we're interacting with something called a projection. The most common projection that we're all surely familiar with is the Mercator projection, but there are many others. Now, there's no agreed-upon map of the flat Earth, but the closest thing we can get to any semblance of a generally accepted flat Earth map would be
I'm going to point out that there's not a single map that depicts Antarctica as a continent. Just throwing that out there.
the azimuthal equidistant projection. Imagine taking a globe, centering it on the North Pole, cutting a hole in the South Pole, and then stretching out Antarctica around the circumference. Now imagine actually doing this in real life. Like imagine you were peeling an orange. If you cut a hole in the
Or imagine taking a map of the Earth and wrapping it around a ball.
bottom, slide the peel off, and then try to flatten it out. Unless you were to stretch parts of it significantly or make a bunch of cuts, you literally can't do it. Now this is
The imagery is just fucking cringe. I'm sorry, but the imagery is just cringe. Why was we looking at a guy tearing up a ball?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty
The guy
funny.
didn't use any kind of logic or reasoning in his effort to flatten out that globe. He just went at it like a gorilla with an American Tourister suitcase, just beat the fuck out of it, It's like those commercials you always see when they're trying to sell you some shit, It's like, tired of making pasta the old-fashioned messy way, and it shows a woman sloshing pots of pasta all over herself and shit. And it's like, nobody ever does that, Come on, y'all.
Mark Sargent was like fucking annihilating a globe in the gambling advert that he did. Do you remember that?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh my! Oh, yeah. Okay, we should definitely watch it. It's bloody hilarious.
There's Rogers joined us.
Hello,
What do
gentlemen.
I got the whole Flatzoid team over here almost, man. All we need is PJ and Michael. Kahn.
Yeah.
We'll have the whole fucking Flatzoid crew over here.
And the Canadian guy as well.
Yeah. Man, this is good. What do we got? We got 81 people watching already right now. Don't forget to hit the like, the share, the subscribe, help us in the algorithm. And if you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. It doesn't matter. It still boosts us in the algorithm.
Yeah. Smash that dislike button.
Yeah, well, don't smash it. You might fuck up your computer,
And
Yeah, go
stab
ahead.
it like we're stabbing the globe.
If you're Luch, yes, smash your keyboard as hard as you possibly can. You use a hammer.
precisely how we end up with the various map projections, all of which need some kind of cutting or stretching to represent the globe on a flat two-dimensional plane. Using something called Tissot's indicatrices, we can get a much better visualization of the effects of the different map projections. On the globe, all of these little circles are exactly the same size and are placed along the meridians and parallels, providing a baseline reference for relative distances and scales. Now, once the various projections are created from the globe, we can look at the sizes, shapes, and distances between all of the resulting dots, at which point the...
See, here's the problem with that. It was measured flat and then turned into a globe.
Yeah, but also, by the way, like this is not how people made maps throughout, all of history.
No.
The way that we make maps by using globe models is a lot more recent. Like people for like most of history did not do this.
No, even up like I think they didn't even really start doing this.
They started it with Mercator
coordinate system, you know, like totally locked in until much later. Yeah, and there again, it goes
Oakley
right
likes to
British.
Yeah. Oakley likes to say they're equal elevation angles, all of them. Each one of those circles are equal in elevation. They're level to each other, so it's measured flat across.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask one more question that I've been dying to ask a Glober. How does the sun heat, radiate, or convex 93 million miles to the Earth and cause seasons on our Earth?
They say that their excuse is that it's the infrared from the sun that's permeating into the atmosphere. But there again, that doesn't make any fucking sense either.
Still, it doesn't get it. How does it get that far?
Right.
I don't get it. I really don't.
Well, how do they even get that distance?
Yeah.
How did they even get that distance? It's ridiculous.
I asked one of their proponents in the USGS, the guy who got in touch with me, and I'm like, I asked him that question, and he says, "Well, are you looking for a Nobel Peace Prize?" I'm like, "No, I just want to know an answer to this question. How does it work? Explain it to me. Break it all down for me in increments. Show me how the heat radiates or convects that far away. Radiate won't go that far. I don't think so. I don't think the infrared will go that far. The heat doesn't travel. That's why they need the vacuum of space to allow that heat to travel like that."
Well, there again, you have to have some kind of a medium. So,
and you can't have a medium unless you have a containment, right?
well, there's never an instance where there's anything not within a medium. Not as far as anything has ever been able to be experienced. No, there's always a medium.
Yeah. So all the rest of the cultures that have been around for thousands and thousands of years have been wrong about everything, but we're the only ones because we have a spinning ball that we can access and randomly pull points from the sky out of. We're right.
Yeah.
No. It's nonsense to me. That's all I want to know.
The quote-unquote cost of each projection will be easily visible. The Mercator projection was created with the primary intention of being used for navigation, with the desired attributes being that up represents north and down represents south pretty much everywhere on the map, and the local directions and shapes are generally fairly accurate, with the biggest trade-off coming in the form of having the land masses that are further away from the equator scaled up disproportionately to those closer to the equator. Now, the azimuthal equidistant projection is designed such that the points on the map are the correct distance and direction from the center point, the North Pole, and that comes at the cost of drastically butchering the scale of everything the further you get from the North Pole. Again, turning Antarctica.
Now, the way that this is done to obfuscate is because, once again, we have calculated distances across the ocean and we have measured statute miles across the land. So in order to make it work out the way they want to, they have to give you these distortions.
Antarctica into a massive ring around the entire perimeter, effectively eliminating the concept of a South Pole. The fact of the matter is, the locations, proportions, and distances on the globe are not only successful in describing what we experience in real life, but are also incapable of being accurately projected onto a flat map. It's fundamentally impossible to create a truly accurate flat representation of the world if the Earth was indeed a sphere. The shapes of the continents, relative sizes of the bodies of water, distances between cities and other major landmarks, and that fact is far more significant than Ross and other flat earthers realize. It's not that our model demonstrates that the Earth is round, but more importantly, that their inability to create a model that corresponds to reality demonstrates quite convincingly that the Earth can't be flat. Models don't make things reality, but reality can be modeled. And this concept is at the heart of why there aren't any real flat Earth models, either in the physical sense or any kind of robust conceptual framework that can make predictions and explain observations. The moment flat earthers attempt to account for one aspect on their map, like the relative sizes and shapes of the continent.
Wait a minute. Their map. What do you mean their map? We're using the same fucking map you're using. Right?
Brian's logic.
How have you now? How did anyone, including this bozo that's talking, How did anyone ever verify the accuracy of these maps?
But I mean, like they're all packed with issues.
Yes.
All of them have so like there's endless issues. There's so
Yep.
many, paradoxes and like stuff that they just can't measure, stuff that just doesn't work. Like there is no true map of the world.
Listen,
And
this
there's no
whole
globe of
thing,
the world either.
this whole thing right here, and this is what gets me right off the bat. As soon as one of these jackasses clowns up and says, "Show me your accurate map," well, okay, show me yours. And
Yeah, I know.
Here's what I
perverse.
want with it. Here's what I want with it. I want verification, not someone else's verification. Your verification that it's accurate. After all, this is the map you're claiming to be accurate. How did you verify it to its accuracy? You didn't.
No, nobody did.
So why in the fuck are we looking at pictures of where we live instead of exploring where we live?
Or just like measuring it, you know?
God,
they don't want
damn.
you to explore it. That's why.
Jeez.
Also, we said like there's nothing that can correspond with reality. I mean, I think a measurement would correspond with reality. Not gonna lie.
What did he say? Hold on a second. What did Riley say here? Yeah, I know. That's some crazy shit with those cargo ships all going down there and everything. Listen, stuff's coming out. It's coming out piecemeal, and it's not by accident. I think they know that the gig is up, and so they're kind of letting it kind of slowly get out there so people don't fucking freak out all of a sudden. Because man, I was at the store the other day with the wife, and I looked at her and I says, "Do you realize that if everybody here just suddenly realized how the world really works and what's really going on, do you realize the level of freak out that would take place? That would be phenomenal. It'd be uncontrollable. People would straight up lose their minds. If everything the way shit really is, and not just with the cosmology of the earth, but everything were to suddenly come to them in a revelation all at the same time, a lot of them would lose their fucking minds. They would not be able to handle it. You'd have like mass self-deletions happening, man. For real. I love the circle of despair. It always makes me happy.
Continents or distances between them, all of the other aspects of the map suddenly become wrong. Now, in very much the same way, as soon as they attempt to explain any given observed phenomena, such as the day and night cycle, they invariably fail to account for or outright contradict their explanations for all of the others, like eclipses, the seasons, and the movement of the stars in the sky. Flat earthers are simply unable to make their models match reality. And despite them invariably arguing that models...
Hello! Can't make your model match reality. Your model doesn't match reality either.
Yeah, no, there's literally no proof of it ever.
And which model is it that you're referring to with the globe? Because they got a different fucking model for each problem. You realize that, right?
I know.
They don't have
also...
one model that incorporates the entire fucking thing. They're fucking crazy. I'm sorry, you roboted out on us. What did you say now?
They mapped out the sky like they the star
I can't hear a word he's saying.
No, I can't hear nothing you're saying, man.
How about now, guys? Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Hi.
Huh. All right. Yeah, they mapped the sky the same way they mapped the ground. It's mapped out completely flat too. You can roll out a star chart completely flat.
How do you accurately map out the south, ground or sky?
Well, it's almost impossible.
You don't have you have lost your central point.
Yeah.
See, so we run into problems because now all we have is movement and time in an assumed position.
Yeah. They're assuming the convexity of the sky is what I'm looking at. It's mapped out flat though.
Okay.
Like you can draw a line star to star to star to star to star. It's a straight line.
Okay.
And it appears to go down toward the horizon. Everything appears to go down toward the horizon. That's where they get their convexity. That's why they have the calculations for their
Well, no, their
calculators.
convexity actually comes from the dynamics of the human eye. That's where the convexity comes to. That's where it comes from. It comes from the perception of the human eye. They hijacked that and turned it into curvature.
And Gleason did do a good job with the eclipses and the solstices. He had them well mapped out on his diagram. So Gleason did do it, and he said we didn't do anything. No, they did it for us, but they did it accurately.
Right. Well, the Gleason's map is a timepiece. It's not a geographical navigation map. Okay.
No, it's made for
and the projection is based off of globe coordinates. Again, they're off of globe coordinates. So it's going to be like any other standard AE map. But you look at it, it was J.S. Christopher. From the projection of J.S. Christopher, Modern College, Blackheath, England, is what it says up there on the map. So, yeah, he worked out all the time piece aspect of it, but it was another guy that they used his projection, which, of course, in order to be a standard map of any kind, has to pass through the Royal College of Longitude, or it does not get to, or the Royal Board of Longitude, or it doesn't get to be a valid map in any way, shape, or form. They've got this shit sewed up. You're going to accept the globe coordinates, or you're not going to have anything. That's just how they do it.
You know, they got that from the equatorial plane to start with, from Polaris to the equatorial plane. That's where they got the map from.
Right.
They just cut the globe in half and made a flat plane out of it.
They just mirrored it.
Yeah.
They just mirrored what was north of the equator and said, oh, it's the same past the equator, when it's not. I mean, how many countless ships have been lost at sea or wrecked due to this bullshit of thinking they're on a ball and they're way off course because they're not?
Yeah, I can show you.
That has happened in the past. That has happened. This is why it was always considered that the southern seas were the most treacherous.
Yeah.
You know, so
I've watched the Sea Shepherds, and they have problems when they were down there on TV. They have problems keeping their coordinates going constantly. They got lost. Yeah.
Of course, they have to constantly be making corrections, and that's because they're going by a false coordinate.
They're off.
It's saying that they're in one spot when it's showing that they're in another. It's just it's horseshit. It's dying. Listen, we've won. This shit is it's a mop-up operation now. That's it. It's just mop-up. That's what we're doing.
Aren't reality, so of course it doesn't matter. The very fact that the globe model is able to account for all of the relevant observations and phenomena that we see and experience, while no flat Earth model exists that can account for more than one or two things at a time, tells us a little something about what the shape of the Earth is most likely to be.
The globe itself and the heliocentric model and everything, that was established by hundreds of people over thousands.
Hundreds of people over thousands of years, but I'm not going to give you any indication of any of them. Jesus God. Wow.
He doesn't know the history. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
No. And like, mop-up operation. What I'm looking at here is that the battle's over. All we're doing is just kind of going across the battlefield and shooting wounded. We're just shooting the wounded.
I mean, it's just the same shit. There's nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1:9. Nothing new under the sun.
So yeah, this guy, he was the first one to say, hell yeah, I go. So this little intelligence agent right here, I got my eye on him.
Thousands of years they've been working on this sort of stuff, and flat earthers think with
Gleason's to me.
And 10 minutes of cherry picking they could suddenly break all that apart, and yet They can't actually build their own working flat Earth model at all because none of it actually works. You know, the globe in everything else is the only thing that works, whereas flat Earthers, to try and explain how we see things on a flat Earth, you want to see some of the bloody models that they've tried to pull up just to explain one thing. Like, have you come across their everyone's got a personal sphere of the night sky, if you like, their own personal dome that they're seeing?
You do have an azimuthal dome of vision because you're not fucking Superman, stupid.
I know, honestly, like,
God damn, this guy
like
right
these
here.
people, they will never understand how your eyes work. They
No.
just don't want to understand it. They just can't.
How in the fuck can you have one of your most primary tools of your life and
Your
not
eye.
understand a shit about how it works? How
I
is
know,
that
like,
possible?
I know there's like, I know it's absolutely wild. Like, these people will just outright deny it, or they'll say, "Oh, it's flurspective instead of actual perspective," right? Because they got no argument. It's wild. They just
Yep.
hate how their own eyes work.
They threw away perspective, dude.
Yeah. And Dave's the worst for it.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Dave
well,
McKeegan.
yeah,
Well,
I
like,
don't,
he's
how
up
come
there.
we don't ever see him out in a debate platform. I don't think he's able to really
No, he
think
won't.
on his feet. He can't
He's
think.
like Simon Dan. He'll not debate.
Where are these guys going to be in 5 years? Where you reckon?
Probably still
Hopefully
making
off
YouTube
YouTube.
videos.
I think they'll be forgotten.
Maybe
I think they'll be forgotten.
5 years. I mean, they might be able to milk it for 5 years. I don't know.
I don't think so. Not at the rate this shit's going. Not at the rate this is going. It's getting them. It's becoming just completely overwhelming to me to see the change in the amount of people that are acceptant to it, that are looking into it, that are actually coming to the realization of it, you know, and you can tell we're winning because of how desperate they have become in their damage control. This is
I know.
case in point. This is case in point. 8 hours, damn near 8 hours. Record numbers of launches this last year or so, right? Throwing up Starlink all over the place, really directing your attention towards space. India landing on the moon, this other outfit landing on the moon and shit. And what are they getting? Everybody fucking laughing at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to quote Eric Dubay. He said the best way to shut up a flat earther is open Antarctica for exploration. That'll shut us up forever. Dude.
No
If you-
shady like pastors and like McTroon trips. Actual exploration.
Yeah. No guided tours. We're talking like let us explore the shorelines.
Yeah, like let us do what Captain Cook did.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, look what happened to Cook though. If that's what happened to him.
Yeah, he got ate by Hawaiians, but they didn't eat his hand. That was the hand he wiped with, I guess. You know,
Wow.
So
Yeah.
come on.
Who was the other guy? Clark? Something Ross Clark?
James.
Yeah.
Clark.
Did he get eaten by the Hawaiians?
God, who knows? I don't buy none of their fucking stories. Half the shit I hear that they tell, these little tales and fables about these different prominent characters in history.
It's always a fable. It's always some like weird as hell story in their lore. It's like I mean, no wonder we call it a religion.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Crazy shit. Crazy
also,
shit.
It's funny how this guy, Veritas or whatever, right? Like on the video was saying, they've not provided any coherent model. Neither of you.
I know.
You guys can't even tell. You can't show anything. You can't even establish your position. You're trying to tell me that I'm the one with no model. You're the one that just makes up bullshit. The difference between flat earthers and these guys is that we say, I don't have access to that. I don't know. We're not going to make, bold claims on it, but not these guys. These guys make the boldest fucking claims ever, construct their own lore and their own fucking like
It's because they
mythology.
have an unwarranted and unwavering faith in academia. Merely by
just
volition
scientism.
of the fact that it's academia, not because it gives out facts, just because of their own perception of what the institution represents. That's it.
Well, I think all this should be public knowledge. Everybody should have access to all the charts and be able to map their own way around their own world.
You should be able to.
Yeah.
But who can afford to?
That's a good
Right?
question.
Okay, who can afford to? Who amongst us here? Anybody a cartographer? No.
No. Actually, I know a few. They're actually
all right.
flat
Well,
earthers.
see if you can get them on. See if you can get them on board, and then if we can get the funding to map the entire world.
Aye.
Get
Hey,
going
there
on it.
was an interesting map. I think it was 2013 or 2009 in Japan. You might have heard about this. It was an AE map. It was really, really interesting. Did you hear about it?
Yeah, I've seen it before too, and it shows that there's other lands out beyond Antarctica.
It was pretty interesting.
Whether or not it's legitimate or not, I don't know. I've seen some compelling evidence to suggest it. If you go over to Flatworks channel, he's got some really good videos on all of this stuff, man, regarding Antarctica. If you're not familiar with Flatworks, go over to Flatworks. Find Barbara, if you could find him and put him in a link in the chat, that would be great. Yeah, he's got some really good stuff on all of this, including people that get arrested trying to freely explore, all that shit. It's right there.
I have a 1600 map of the world that's scientifically correct according to the Leisure and stuff, and it shows basically all the continents where they are, and a solid landmass surrounding all the continents. It doesn't show an ice shelf or anything. It shows inlets into these.
You're talking about the 1587 Hermano Monte? Okay, because
this is a French map. This is completely different. It's 1600s. I think 1642. It was released. It was actually I have it translated from English to French, and it actually shows coordinates and everything on it. They were doing this stuff back then too. There were people. These people would scientifically map the world. They didn't come up with a ball when they were done. They came up with a flat map with outer continents around us. And they want to sweep that under the rug. Don't look at it. Don't even contemplate that.
And listen, that's not. Listen, when you're doing that, right? There's a great expense involved. Okay, and so the people behind it, the backers, the benefactors of that endeavor, are usually very rich and powerful monarchs and tradesmen and things like that, people that are in the international trades and things like that, right? So if you just draw whatever the fuck you want to on a piece of paper and you hand it over and say, thank you, King, and you take your money and they go out there and they find out that your map is horse shit, your head's going on a spike and probably your whole family too.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
It's not in there. It does not behoove them to make things up at all. Anyway, let's get on with it.
I understand.
And they show you how the stars are supposed to be moving, and they're dancing all over the place because it's the only thing they can get to work. And it's like, right, great, put that into the context of everything else and see how well you get on with it. And they can't. They have to change the model every single time just to explain one thing and then the next and then the next.
This is a challenge out there to any globetards. Okay, any of you that are out there, including you, McKeegan, show me one accurate working model of your globe Earth. That includes all of the dynamics. How dare you little rat shits demand something of others that you don't even have yourself? That's disgusting.
The end result
Yeah.
of all of the problems facing the flat Earth model is quite fascinating, to say the least. What we end up seeing is that flat earthers can't stop at merely rejecting our models, but because these models are infinitely better at accurately representing reality than anything they can come up with, they're very often forced to outright reject reality.
So anyway, you guys, this is what us globe people believe Australia looks like. And then here is what the flat earth map says Australia looks like. So right off the bat, just from a simple...
So right off the bat, I'm going to ask, who has verified the distances and size of Australia? Not anybody on that fucking panel.
Nope. Full logic standpoint, we should know that both of these cannot be right. They're drastically different.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah, they're just a concept.
I want you to take a look at the drastic difference that the globe people believe is the shape of Australia and the flat earth people believe is the shape of Australia. So my question for you, Austin, is which one of these do you think best represents the actual size of Australia?
Great question, man. I don't know. Like I would say maybe somewhere in the middle. What about that? Because my answer remains the same here. This is just a concept. It's a construct. We weren't even allowed to make but one type of map. You can't even freely and privately explore the Earth.
The fact of the matter is that we know the distances from coast to coast. Both.
No, we don't.
No.
You have been told what these distances are. Okay?
Taboo conspiracy actually shows how they stretch the mileage out.
Well, yeah, look at the big curvy. Straighten out that fucking blue line right there.
Yeah.
That blue line they got right there, straighten that out and compare it to what you've got as far as the distance. I guarantee you it's going to be a lot longer. Same thing with this one over here on the left.
So those
This
are
guy's
accurate.
full of shit, man.
They're high
I
and
mean,
low
just gauging by that way that road is, right there, it looks like they took the fucking thing and went scrunch, scrunch.
North to south and east to west in Australia. Anybody can pull up a map, hop in their car, and make the drive. There's no shortage of flat earthers that live in Australia. It would be trivial for any of them to do this themselves to debunk the globe. The idea that we're not allowed to freely explore the Earth, as if somebody would prevent you from making these coast-to-coast drives, is absolutely bonkers. It's straight up nonsense, just like pretending that we don't know the actual distances between these major cities. You can pretend like the globe is merely an abstract concept all you want, but if the globe model tells us exactly how far these cities are, and those predictions correspond with reality, then you've surely got some explaining to do if you're a flat earther.
Now, he is onto something right there that we can actually get a more accurate measurement of statute miles on land. Sure. Now comes the tricky part. Do it in the middle of the fucking ocean with nothing but moving stars, a clock, and that's it. And a compass.
Yeah.
Now do it.
Good luck.
Now, how fast are you going? How far have you traveled? What is your actual location? Is that a measured distance? No, it is a calculated distance. Is it a measured speed? No, it is a calculated speed. And what is it all based off of? Observation. Nothing physical. So now we have those types of calculations mixed together with physical measurements. Anybody see a problem there? When it comes to accuracy.
Yeah, you're not going to get.
I mean, actually, when they traveled in the South back in the day, assuming a sphere, they consistently got lost. So what did they do? They had to start sending out magnetic declination surveys and trying to correct and correct and correct to try to get it to match the globe. That's why when you go in the South, you're just navigating with corrections. But when people actually went to the South, when these maps were first being put together, it didn't work. We had to make gross corrections to them. So that's the unspoken truth here.
This is just more nonsense to distract from the main point being discussed here.
How is it nonsense? That was factual information. How is that nonsense?
Oh, it's word salad. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, how is that nonsense there, Decepio? I'm not going to call you Veritas no more. You have no right to use that word for anything. You have no right to use that word. You're disgusting. You're a disgusting piece of filth. And we know why you do keep the company you do keep. You listed them right here in the credits of your video. Birds of a feather.
They flock together.
Magnetic declination is
Light
a topic
draws
that I really
light.
want to get into.
Light draws light, and
from Aesop, you know, like the fables.
And math attracts math.
Yeah. Retardation attracts other retardation.
Oh my God, I swear to God. It's
I mean,
almost,
like that's why they put them all in like special ed, because they've got to be together.
Yeah,
like it's bad if they get out. This is why the internet is so dangerous, because all these people, they just get out.
the custodian comes in the classroom after class every night and puts new flavoring on the window for him.
Yeah, basically. You know, this one's graviton flavor.
Yeah, I mean, it's wow.
Well, they turn their backs on natural physics to start with. So what do you expect?
This one's refractive gravelax flavor.
God dang it, Biggs. He come out, hooty hoo, says the wise owl. And now I'm thinking about damn old Gomer Pyle. At one time he said he was going to give and say, hooty hoo, hooty hoo. I was like, fucking Jim Neighbors. He was funny.
In any detail, but in a nutshell, what he's referring to has to do with adjustments that need to be made to magnetic compass readings while navigating, which actually has nothing to do with the geometry of the land masses or the maps at all. If the map tells you to go due north and your compass is off by some amount because of the difference between magnetic north and geographic north, that doesn't mean that the map is wrong. He's purposefully misread.
You guys got to, you see the dumb shit they got to come up with, the mental gymnastics crap that they have to do to cover up their obvious flaws in their stupid fucking idea.
Well,
constantly, it's just band-aid after band-aid with strips of duct tape and some fucking electrical tape over here, and here's some fucking scotch tape up here. These guys are sick, man. What'd you say now?
Oh, yeah, they should just go to magnetic north to start with. That's how the maps were originally done, instead of making a grid out of it and drawing all their meridians and their longitude lines between them. It's just convoluted. Yeah.
That's how they keep it. That's how they keep the lie perpetuated, because it is convoluted. It makes your fucking brain hurt with all the shit that with all the convoluted mental gymnastics they make you throw at it. These motherfuckers weren't calculating magnetic north versus geographic north when they were setting up the coordinate system. No. When they worked out the fucking latitudes. No, you're stupid. Shut up.
I think they're trying to keep you away from the north too. Obviously, they don't want to get north. If you found the actual center of it, you could actually do an accurate map of your own.
Yeah.
Representing the implications of magnetic declination to divert the conversation away from where it's clearly going, because he's simply too afraid to have to answer extremely basic questions about his model of the Earth, which Pastor Will Duffy attempts to do, asking for his explanation for the fact that the distances in duration of north to south and west to east flights are within 15% or less of each other, which makes perfect sense on a globe with Australia the size that our maps dictate, while making absolutely no sense on any of the flat Earth maps that show Australia as a hot dog instead of a hamburger.
So what are you suggesting? It should be grossly different if the Earth is flat? What exactly is your argument? The fact that they're 8 minutes apart, assuming a globe distance to get an assumed speed.
Here would be the flight paths on the Gleason map. And by the way, the Gleason map is the only flat Earth map I could find on the entire internet that actually has the names of cities on it, which is bizarre to me. And if you look, this flight right here is 2.5 times shorter distance than this one. So Austin, why are these flights both within 5 minutes of each other, 3 minutes of each other on average? What is your explanation?
That is not to scale. You have to apply a scale to the outer regions of the map. It's literally on it. So it's literally a legend on the map.
Okay, so help me out here. Why can't you or Jaron or anybody else give us just a simple map of Australia? I'm not asking for the whole world. I'm not asking for you to go over the ocean. Why can't we just get a map of Australia that has the right scale and looks the right shape? Why?
There you go. Ask a fucking cartographer or someone else, for crying out loud.
He just explained the legend too, didn't he?
It absolutely does. There are two different scales on the Gleason's map. There are two.
It
Learn
sounds
to
like
use them.
he's just lazy, dude. He doesn't want to sit down and do the math.
No, what he's doing is he's been given these stock questions from these assholes that he was working with. That's where that's coming from. None of these questions crossed his mind ever once.
Nope.
Okay. This was shit that was fed to him by those fucking miscreants. And then he regurgitated it back. This guy is so deceptive. I feel really bad, man, for anybody that's deceived into thinking that guy is in any way, shape, or form a man of God.
Oh, Jaron doesn't believe in God, so.
No, I mean, there's a lot of these people and shit. Somebody said, well, McToon said he's a Christian. Well, so did Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Come on. It's because you say you're something don't mean that's what you are. I got motherfuckers.
I mean, are we really meant to buy that McToon is like a devout Christian?
Yeah, come on, man. I got.
Are we really meant to buy that? Like, come on.
I got people on Facebook all the time trying to tell me they're airline pilots and fucking nuclear physicists and all kinds of other shit, and they're not.
Yeah, there's tons of them out there. Everybody's in the career, I'm telling you.
The three Mandela deniers at the bottom. I don't know. Not really. We're talking about the guy who calls himself the Latin word for truth when he should change it to the Latin word for deception, Decepio. The guy is he put out that's the 8-hour hit piece, the desperate globe damage control video. See, this is how desperate they've gotten. See.
Yeah.
Can we ask you though, what every single map that's ever been made, every coastline that's been mapped has all been done by government money, kings and queens. There's no private person going out and building maps, but you expect Austin and I to do that from our house. We're just supposed to go out and map the world for you.
Just help me understand why we can't get the proper shape of Australia when
I just told you.
We already
if you
have.
Give me $10 million, I'll do it.
And millions of people, and we can go out there and do it, and then map entire coastlines and make very specific physical measurements, and not just make globular assumptions as we then beg the question of a spherical distance, and then we can't really figure out nautical miles and distances, and
so where does the shape of Australia come from on the globe side? Where is that coming from? Are you guys saying that that's made up or what? Where does it come from?
No, you guys have those very resources that we're discussing, assuming that the Earth is a sphere the whole time. And what happens now is in 2024, people can come along and be like, look how good our map is. Oh, but let's talk about what actually happened, which is that it consistently failed. It didn't work. When they went to the south, assuming the Earth was a sphere, all of the world's bestseller says this does not work. South is not symmetrical to the north as it should be. We are getting lost. We're off by 200 miles a day sometimes. We're off by tons and tons and tons.
Okay, so Austin, I would be content if you and Jaron would admit right now that the globe shape of Australia must be way closer to the truth than the Gleason map because of these flights.
No, I'll never say. But if you want us to draw the Earth for you, to draw the map for you, then you just need to get us the source code for GPS and explain to me why it's hidden by the United States government.
I don't have that, obviously. But again, I feel like you guys should just be willing to admit that if these two flights right here have an average flight time within 3 minutes of each other, that those distances are about the same. Why can't you?
No, I'll tell you why.
Airspeed's a lot different.
Of course it is. What do we got going on east and west that we don't have going on north and south?
Wind.
That's right. Tailwind. Would your airspeed indicator indicate that you were going in addition with the wind to your airspeed? No. So if you were in a 200-mile-an-hour wind and an airplane going 500 miles an hour, although your speed indicator says you're only going 500 miles an hour, you're actually going 700.
Well, even Jaren's already figured that out himself. He's done shows on that, over and over.
So there you go, Duffy. Jesus, you know, some of the most it's the most logical, simple shit. They think they got some kind of gotcha all the time, and it's like, dude, yeah, and it's like, wow, you know, this is what happened to kids that were not allowed to play outside. It is.
Man, it makes me want to bang my head against the wall every once in a while just hearing them fucking talk.
God,
admit that.
Well, they're 300 miles difference, though.
Speed that they travel. One's going north and one's going east.
Well, it tells you that right there. You got a 300-mile difference, but you're saying they're within minutes of each other. So how is the plane doing
So
that?
you're saying one's traveling way faster than the other one, right?
Somehow, to flat earthers, it makes more sense to say that the 15% difference in distance that could very likely be made up by the increased speed provided by the west to east jet stream is somehow a distance significant enough to call into question the entire thing, while completely ignoring the fact that westward flights on flat Earth would need to travel something like 250% faster to account for that massive difference in distance. Every single response they gave was a blatant red herring, straw-grasping attempts to divert the entire conversation away from the very basic reality that flat earthers are simply unable to create an accurate map of the world. And
wow. You're absolutely right. And you know what? You can't create an accurate map of the world. And Patrick Duffy, or Will Duffy over here, he can't create an accurate map of the world. So wonder what's behind that. Could it be right back to the original statement that we don't have the resources to make a fucking map? What part of that did you miss? You little lying troll demon. What part of that did you miss, you little fucking rat shit?
Yeah, I wouldn't trust him, man.
I don't trust that motherfucker for nothing. He came right on and lied right out of his fucking mouth right there. He just lied. Straight up on Flatzoid. Straight up lied.
it's not because the government's preventing them from doing so. It's not because they haven't had enough time or don't have enough resources to do it. It's because the Earth isn't flat. The flat earthers' arch nemesis, geometry, strikes again.
If you don't have a map, then you can't actually go past that inside because a couple hundred years ago you could, when we didn't have fast international travel, but now we do. You get on a plane, you can get within.
So McToon, I'm asking you, brother, you little sweaty fucking man titty shithead. Here's what I'm asking you. How did you verify the accuracy of your map that you use? You little rat shit.
If you don't have a map, you don't have anything, he says. Well, if you don't have just basic proof for your claim, then you also have nothing.
Does that mean that if I don't have a drawing of my dog, I don't have my dog?
I honestly, like the claim isn't proven by making a map. It's proven by measuring it. It's proven by measuring it. A map comes later.
And you can't measure distances across the ocean. Not so far. How are you going to measure
obviously the
those?
southern part just ruins it as well. It's very hard, as you said. I mean, was it like the coastline paradox? Have you ever heard of that?
No, fill me in.
Where the more you, the more precise you are in a coastline, it opens up like a fractal, and you can go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Oh yeah,
until it's like infinite. It's wild. So there's stuff like that. So no, like your cartography is never gonna be like perfect, but they're kind of assuming that it would be in some case. It's really weird that they're assuming that they have access to all the shit that they just don't. And it's also complete it's complete deflection. Well, no, it's not guesswork. Like they have different methods. They just don't, go in as precise because you'll be going on forever. But anyway, like this whole thing is just deflection from the actual point of, do you measure curvature anywhere? Not did you make a map, right? Maps can come later, right?
Let me tell you, let me just tell you here's a little hint. Okay. Now, when an airplane is traveling along, just before it gets to, especially across the ocean, before it gets to its destination, does the pilot go, hey, we're such and such a distance from our destination, we should start dropping in altitude and lowering our speed? No, they don't do that. They wait until the tower picks them up on radar and tells them where they are in relationship to the airport and guides them in. Either through an ILS or even through heading corrections from the ground. It's that simple. The pilot doesn't say, well, here we are. We've gone exactly such and such a distance, so we should start doing such and such. No, they don't. The radio comes on and it says, this is such and such tower. We have you at such and such a vector. Make course correction 20 degrees north, or whatever the case may be, right? It's not like when you're driving down the road and you look at your odometer and you know you're going to go a certain distance. You go, well, we should be coming up on the, yep, there it is right there. I see it right on the money. Perfect. Right? Not so in an aircraft.
It's a calculation.
Well, they have to be told that they're close enough to start making their fucking approach. They have to be told. They're told by the people on the ground who's firing a radar at their fucking airplane and picking them up on a screen and saying, you know, flight such and such, we have you at such and such a coordinates, blah, blah, blah. Please stand by, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They might reach out to the airport and say, are you picking us up on radar yet? And they might say, no, you know, wait until we do, or whatever the case may be. But it's not like they're going along and say, well, we've been going along and we've went this distance now. And since the map says on the globe that that is the exact distance, then I should start. No, none of that occurs.
Yeah, I got you. There's not a marker in the air saying this is where you land.
No, there's no mile markers up there either. You know, there's not an odometer on an airplane.
Oh, yeah. I wonder how that would work.
Yeah.
In 24 hours, you get almost anywhere. And all of this is done using some sort of navigation, using some sort of a map. So there's a map being used. What map is it? Well, it's a globe. And they're like, well, it's all fake because it's
no, the globe is not a map. Show me one instance of navigation where somebody has got a globe on the bridge of a ship, or in the cockpit of an airplane, or even in the glove box of a truck. Come on.
I don't have one in mind.
Nope. And just because they take a thing and superimpose it onto a cartoon ball on your phone doesn't make the Earth a globe, people. Scooby-Doo is a cartoon character. I hope people realize that dogs don't talk. I really do. I mean, it seems like we have to tell the most basic shit to people anymore, man. This is why I say they need to take the warning labels off shit and let nature take its course.
Yeah. And they don't dive down with their nose when they're going over the globe at 8 inches per mile squared neither. So
right.
And they stay level.
Well, it's because it's magic. Some kind of horse shit. Because arcs are lines and lines are arcs, and up is down and down is up, and everything that would make sense in reality it's not that.
Every decent flight I've been on, they always get to altitude right away and then they level out, dude. And
yes. It's because the fucking pilot wants to kick back and read his book or watch Friends or some shit on a DVD or whatever the case. The guy's like a bus driver with cruise control, man. Once they get up that autopilot, they've got the trim locked. It's everything good unless they start picking up some turbulent weather and have to change altitude or whatever the case may be. Other than that, just on autopilot, baby. Kick back. I don't get this. Come on, Circle of Death.
Navigators do it, or it's in the software. Or, you know, okay, so what map is it? I don't know. We don't have access to it. Well, then why would you claim that there's a lie happening to it? You don't have any evidence for it. It's just a religion.
The fact that by using our knowledge and understanding of physics to model out around Earth within our solar system, we can predict with insane fidelity not only the date and time of solar eclipses down to the second, but more importantly, their precise path of totality.
We just had a solar eclipse back here in April, and if
Yeah,
memory serves me right, as it should all the rest of you, it seems to me that at the last couple of days before the eclipse, they actually had to make some corrections on where it was going to appear, didn't they?
That was insanely correct.
Yeah.
Dave, it was
So what the fuck is this guy talking about? Secondly,
smoke up your ass.
None of those predictions are made using anything to do with the goddamn globe at all. None of that is. None. It's not like they go, hey, we think there's an eclipse coming, so we're going to do some calculations to find out if it's not. The 1898 Farmer's Almanac had this last April's eclipse listed for April of 2024, April 8th, 2024.
Oh, they
Told
got that
where it was
globe,
going to
Dave.
be. They said where it was going to be and everything. Do you think they did that up based on what? Based on the sorrow cycle. It's a repeating event. It's not a prediction. Saying that I predict that it will be morning. That's not a prediction. That's a post-diction because it's a cycle. It's something happens all the time. None of it
When
has
I've looked into, when I looked into cultures, each one of the cultures have an explanation for the solar eclipse in their country.
Yeah.
The French called it nodes that were causing the solar eclipse, not the actual moon itself. It was due to they had names for them. It was the dark moon.
Rehu and Kaku or something like
well,
that.
that's Indian. I'm going with the French explanation. It was Citron and the black moon was causing each one in succession. They rotated. They kept the moon in its orbit, the nodes. That's what they attribute to it. You never see the moon eclipse the sun, ever. You see a dark object go in front of it. They've been trying to photograph it for ages, and they've never actually seen the actual moon in front of the sun. You can't see the surface of it at all. You just see a black ring.
Yeah, I'm not accepting the total washout thing either.
No.
And some I've seen some pictures. They say, "Oh, look, we found features on it and stuff," and I'm like, why? All of a sudden, with the advent of computerized digital cameras, are people seeing this? Could it be in the software to paint that on? I don't know.
Even with 4K cameras, can they actually get a good picture of it? They can't.
No.
No.
No, I have some reservations about that. And this thing, I'm not going to claim to know what the eclipse is. That's their job. That's what they've done. They've claimed that. So this is burden of proof again. That's on them. And even if it were the moon, how does that mean that it's a globe? How does that mean it's a globe? It doesn't.
Well, even
because the moon and the sun could pass in front of one another on a flat earth too. So I don't see where the problem is.
Even Taboo Conspiracy tried to answer that question, and they sent some people up in an airplane with not this eclipse, but the one before this, and they caught pictures of actual orbs in the sky besides the sun.
Yeah.
And the moon. And there weren't lens flares; they were actually physical objects.
I've seen those before. That's why I got to get into that old hard drive. In 2017? The eclipse that came through, I saw a partial eclipse in California, and I took some photographs of it, and I saw those same things in my photograph. They almost had a little crescent. It was like almost all matching what was going on to the sun, and they weren't sun dogs either. And it was really crazy because when I zoomed in on them on the computer, I pulled them up and I zoomed in on them. They almost looked like they had electrical circuitry to them or something.
Yeah, and it's really funny. Like even before like this last planetary alignment, the previous one, I remember there were plenty of us out looking at it. When the planets were aligned, we found Mercury and Venus in the night sky during a planetary alignment. How does that work? You understand how the solar system aligns. If we're having a full alignment, you wouldn't be able to see that in your night sky. That would be on the day side of the sky away from the sun. You would not find Mercury or Venus in the night sky at all, but we found them. They were actually verified as Mercury and Venus in the night sky.
Huh.
And then like people write that off, like forget about it. Like that didn't happen.
You're right. That's
that was,
all they can say. That's not what I was told by the official people.
Well, yeah, there's some people that don't put it all together.
Yes.
The solar system model sucks.
Something about how our model corresponds to reality. The fact that I and anybody else had the ability to see what would be happening in the real world literally months before it happened in a goddamn video game, because that video game is actually a remarkably robust model of our solar system, demonstrates the value of models, their predictive and explanatory power. It should tell you something when a video game can do what no quote-unquote flat earth scientist has ever in human history been able to do. Understanding these things in the abstract allows us to gain a deeper understanding of the real world.
So that's their whole thing on maps. We found it's really not very good.
It's the same story, dude. I've heard it before.
Yeah. Let's see. Flat earthers are pseudoscientists. Oh, that ought to be grand. Let's see where we get to that one.
The guy who didn't want to speak about the specifics. Wow.
There we go. Look at there. That's a handy tool, Al. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, like the arrow keys.
Yeah.
Yeah, up and down is for the volume.
Right.
If you try that, it might work.
The volume's up. Oh, I don't have it all the way up. Good enough.
When we examine the major qualities of science, the scientific method, the philosophies and methodologies, the day-to-day practices of real professionals in any of the different scientific disciplines, ultimately the way that they view and approach the process of determining what we might call truths about our world, we'll find that pseudoscience has its own variation on each of those qualities, a kind of dark side, so to speak, that manages to poison the entire process, eliminating any reliable connection that its conclusions might have with reality. The primary goal of science is to make testable and falsifiable hypotheses, following the evidence wherever it leads.
True.
Yeah, true. And the arbiter between two hypotheses is always experiment.
Absolutely. Let's see how it gets.
Yeah. But the issue, though, is that flat Earth, as a general claim, is geometric first. It's scientific later.
Flat Earth isn't actually a claim, as it is an observation, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would put it.
We experience, and I mean, it's a given. It's the default position.
I mean, would you agree that it's at least like a proposition then, in like a logical sense?
No, not even a proposition. The globe is the proposition, because we have no. Why would I? What are we questioning in relation to our observable reality? You see, the thing is that the claim comes in completely against observable reality and experience. And it's like, okay, so I don't feel movement. I don't see any convexity, yet you're coming here telling me that I'm on a ball that's rotating. So can you prove that to me, please? Because I don't see it.
Yeah, I like the way Angel did it. He said, basically broke it all down, that all their claims of motion cancel each other out. So we could treat it as stationary, right?
Yeah, they always got convenient shit. It's moving because it's moving. Yeah, right.
Yeah, basically.
Contrast, pseudoscience specializes in making untestable, unfalsifiable assertions, and then later uses whatever strategies it can muster to claim that they've proven whatever their predetermined conclusion was.
You mean like gravity?
The globe?
Both, both
heliocentrism.
Both Newtonian and Einsteinian gravity fall right into that category, right there.
Absolutely.
Very good, Veritas. Very good.
Like literally all of modern cosmology, almost. Like the major underpinnings of it. It's just that.
So making untestable, unfalsifiable assertions claiming to prove their predetermined conclusion, like saying you saw light bend around the sun, and so therefore that must mean gravity. And it's
back in the day,
space-time is warping. So you observed something and then made a conclusion based on nothing other than your wishes for that conclusion to be true.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, like the Navy and science that's here actually wrote that off as lens deception. When you actually got a lens bending an object, it wasn't attributed to light. It was the lens itself that made the bend. That's the way they used to look at it. And
Eddington discarded any data that did not go along with his hypothesis. So
he's a
it
pseudoscientist.
wasn't even an honest observation.
Yeah, he's a pseudoscientist. He made it fit his model.
Yep.
Pseudoscience works backwards, hoping to find whatever justification they can for the beliefs they've had from the start.
This is called the double slit theory. It's not a theory. It's
Wait a second. So by definition, what he said is everything that these guys proclaim. For instance, the one they love, the Cavendish experiment, which was actually designed to, as Cavendish wanted to calculate the mean density of the Earth. It was not designed to show mass attracting mass or any other such thing. But they use it to try to say that, even to justify their claim of gravity, when it's not that at all. I mean, this is just the most ridiculous shit. This guy keeps putting his own foot in his mouth with this shit. What's going on there, Mike?
What's up, boys?
Having fun. That's
Hello.
weird. Yeah, we're just kind of picking pieces of this thing apart.
It's the new late night hangout over here.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
We have a good time. We have a good time. And this guy, I don't know. Are any of you familiar with this guy that they're showing right here?
I've seen him.
No idea.
I don't know any of it either. I think he like picked as many fringe people as he could find. I'm surprised he didn't try to use Dell. Maybe he did. I don't know. This thing's fucking almost 8 hours. Jesus.
I mean, like, Dal would at least make a bit of sense because he, you know, is one of the major people, or at least was.
There you go. It already assumed mass attracting mass. And in reality, how did they negate, if they believe that, then how did they negate or eliminate the influence of the mass of the Earth?
I love the mass attracts mass, man. When we have Saturn with 82 moons and there's never an explosions in the sky, it's just the dumbest thing in the world.
That's more than the three body problem right there in itself.
The three body problem is 100% my reason for heliocentric false. It just can't happen. Three bodies that have to be the exact same size will last for a while. Even three bodies of the exact same size.
Every experiment, that's, you can't just make an experiment because you dreamed up some kind of fucking crazy shit in your head. Okay. First thing that happens is you have to make an observation. You observe some phenomenon in nature and you say, wow, isn't that amazing? I wonder why that happens. And so what you do is you develop a hypothesis as to why you think that happens. The next step is to test that hypothesis through a process called scientific experimentation, right? And this is
experiment on any of these things.
And you don't just jump to experiment. You have to observe something first. And when in the hell has anybody ever observed objects drawing together for any reason other than a magnetism or being pushed that way? I mean, even
that's
Newton
the only
said,
one metal that does it. It's not like other different metals do it, or different. It's not like some gases do it and some liquids do it. It's like only magnets do that, and they want to say there's gas planets, balls of gas that are flying
on each other too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Newton even said that he didn't want to be ascribed to it. He wrote about it. It was his paper. He didn't publish it. He said he didn't even want to be ascribed to it because the whole notion of something moving without a force being applied to it was ridiculous. So they waited until he died and then published it.
Well, I'm going to say good night, gentlemen. I'm going to leave you. I got a
All
couple
right,
things I
man.
got to take care of. Hey,
All right, good night, Roger.
All right, good night.
Have a good night. Yeah, and I think what it was is in reality, I think somebody misunderstood when some geek said math attracts math. And that's the only thing I see that it holds true. Not I've never seen two objects draw together for any reason. Oh, come on, you fucker.
It's proof, actually. We had a couple scientists that proved it.
Outside of the colloquial usage of the word proof, where folks are generally using it to mean some piece of evidence that supports a claim, whenever you hear somebody talk about something that's been definitively proven in science or reject something else on the basis that it hasn't been conclusively proven, that should be a major red flag. Falsifiability is the backbone of science. You can't do science without it. The moment something is proven, then it's no longer falsifiable, putting us outside of the realm of science. And when it comes to making hypotheses and predictions, science offers plausible, coherent, and naturalistic mechanisms as potential explanations, and makes specific predictions that can be tested against observations, measurements, and experiments. Pseudoscience, on the other hand, suggests unprecedented, implausible, and even incoherent mechanisms that border on magical, and almost always refuses to make any kind of prediction, instead creating ad hoc explanations to try to explain whatever you saw after the fact as somehow being consistent with what you predicted.
Because in the model that's in the Bible, the sun is down here.
So you mean that if I predict that I can decrease the average 9.8 meters per second drop of an object by modulating the medium, that's pretty much tells me that it wasn't your gravity, doesn't it? Look who we got up here. What's up, Keith? Good morning.
Morning. How's it going, guys?
We're going good. We're
Hey, man.
Yeah, they're just going over there how the scientific, and the very first thing that the guy brought up described exactly what he said in pseudoscience category, exactly when it comes to gravity. It was exactly what they do. And the numbskull couldn't even realize it. I don't want to call him a rat shit again because I've used that term too many times tonight.
But don't we see that as a norm, though? They don't know the difference between pseudoscience and actual science.
Well, the irony is he's explaining the difference. He even had a little chart up there showing what's accepted in regular science versus pseudoscience. And I'm looking at the pseudoscience thing and I kept stopping it. I'm going, you mean like with gravity, right? I mean, everything that he listed that would constitute pseudoscience, there it was. You know, making an observation and making up a cause for it, that's not science.
But yet he thinks gravity is scientific when he was on our panel.
Yeah, he was definitely in collaboration with McToon, Fight the Fat Ass, and McKeegan. It's credit for it in his description down there. So yeah, I didn't work with anybody. I asked him straight up, who did you collaborate with? Who was feeding you these cherry-picked clips? Oh, nobody. I did this all myself. I was being objective. Fucking liar. That's why I say he needs to change his name to Decepio. You're going to use Latin correctly.
On the widest path.
Dude,
It's under the cosmos.
Chris, the Book of Enoch says
us.
that the sun at nighttime goes through portals.
It does.
Yeah, that's
it does.
at
And
nighttime.
when half of no, it doesn't say that. It says the sun is always in the face of heaven. It says that it does a circuit in the sky, like a Jacob's ladder circuit.
And it goes through
when half
portals
of
at
the
nighttime.
sun.
underneath.
Okay, so when
underneath
half of the sun is sticking out of the western portal, half of it is coming out of the east on the other side.
And when it comes to the consideration of alternate explanations for whatever phenomena you're trying to understand and explain, science.
What that guy just said. Who is? Does anybody know who that guy was?
No.
I've never heard of him before. And what?
Never even seen the guy's face before.
And I'm like, what is he talking about? So he thinks that when you see the sun appear to be half eclipsed by the horizon, that the other half is sticking up over in the far east or something. What? That was the interpretation he got from something in Enoch regarding portals. I think you better dig a little deeper than that, my friend. That's dumb shit right there.
Scientists usually have enough respect for new competing hypotheses that they're generally willing to engage with and try to understand them. You never know. Perhaps some or all of these explanations could be valuable or relevant to your model, and in some cases, they might be even better. Pseudoscience, on the other hand, tends to show a lack of respect not only towards competing explanations, but even more specifically towards whatever is the current generally accepted model within the paradigm.
If the currently accepted model accepted, why? Because of consensus or because it actually is valid?
I'd like to know how we're charting attitude in a graph for science.
I know.
That's on the science side. I don't understand. Attitude has nothing to do with data collection and finding facts.
No, what I have found when I try to hold these idiots to the scientific method, they kick and scream to stay away from it. They kick and scream.
Any real scientist, anyone really trying to discover the truth about the nature that surrounds them, will take any idea into consideration that goes against their own or goes against any data that they've found. The only way to come to a conclusion is by the collection of all data, no matter whether it's indifferent or not.
And you don't just do the experiment once. It's not like you just do it once and go, oh, okay, there it goes. You have to make sure that the results are consistent and repeatable, unlike Cavendish. And here's their explanation for Cavendish, too. Well, nothing happened. Well, you didn't set it up correctly. So it means it's not set up correctly when it doesn't do what you expect it to do, but it is set up correctly if it does do what you expected it to do. I get it. Okay. That's science.
Not a false experiment. That's called a failed experiment.
That's called fucking parlor trick horse shit from some 18th century crackpot that ate lead. That's what that's from. The guy was known to be quite the eccentric. Think about that. Think about that. This was what he did. He hung lead balls in a shed. And then so he didn't influence the balls, wasn't worried about the shed or a rabbit running by outside or a bird flying over or any other thing like that. He sat in his house and watched it with a pair of binoculars or a telescope or some shit. That's what he done. That's what he did. To do what? To calculate the mean density of the earth. What kind of crackpot bullshit is that?
Make it make sense.
Well, the most wild shit ever.
And these people, I would be embarrassed if I was a Glober and I had to, I would be embarrassed to even use that.
Yeah, I know. And it's like it's like one of their only things is the Cavendish.
That's what I tell them all the time. I mean, you tell me here we are in the 21st century.
You can't.
The best you can come up with is some crackpot observation made by some eccentric man in the 18th century. Okay, very good. Very good.
Recreate that experiment.
Pseudoscientists rarely attempt to engage with alternatives, and when they do, more often than not, they misunderstand and misrepresent them, either due to incompetence or dishonesty. Let's take a look at one of the most frequently brought up scientific concepts within many different contexts of the flat Earth discussion, something called refraction, which is related to the behavior of light. Now, there are lots of different ways that refraction can manifest, but one of the easiest to demonstrate is just by looking at any glass of water that has a straw in it. We can clearly see here the path of light from the straw to our eyes is not traveling in a straight line. Something funky is going on here, and what's actually happening is quite interesting. Another slightly more dramatic example is what we often come across as we're driving down the road on a very hot day, seeing what's effectively a mirage, what appears to be water rather than road, even showing the reflections of the cars driving on top. Both.
You're muted.
Did Aristophanes and his faithful assistants, Feces del Toro, did they calculate in the refractive index when he came up with his circumference or diameter of the Earth?
They didn't come up with that excuse yet. They didn't come up with that pseudoscience yet.
So he didn't know anything about that. So how did he accurately predict or
Also,
calculate? Go ahead.
they didn't know anything about perspective. He was just doing geometry.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think the experiment was ever conducted in the first place.
I don't think so. That's why, that's why I often refer to his assistant as Feces del Toro, shit of the bull.
It would be great if they showed us the existence of the guy.
That's what I mean. Half of history.
AI will create something. Give it a little bit of time. Artificial intelligence will they'll recreate something for you. This is what you're going to start seeing, man. You're going to start seeing so much bullshit coming out to muddy up the waters from AI.
Oh yeah.
Watch.
The AI can now come up with the script for the story, the characters, the background narrative, the plot, everything. It can create the pictures, the video, the fucking whole nine. The whole nine.
Sad.
Both of these observations are caused by the same underlying phenomenon.
That's why I'm glad it's almost over.
The refraction
What
of
does
light.
that mean? Wait
Let
a
me try to
second.
run you through a super fast crash course.
What now?
What's almost over?
This whole the bullshit.
I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
That'd be
I have
nice.
never seen an exponential increase in events and craziness ever in my 58 years on this earth. Never.
It's so funny you say that. I tried to tell my dad about the last event that just happened with the whole medical thing. I tried to tell my dad, I said, didn't you say that on 9/11? He was like, oh, son, nothing like this has ever happened. And I'm like, didn't you say that on 9/11? He's like, he said the exact same words. Oh, nothing like this has ever happened. It's like he doesn't want to look through it and just consider it a natural event,
No, what I'm seeing is this increase in events in their successive order of happening.
Right.
Like we would have, okay,
bang.
You'd have like event happen, right? An event happens and people kind of recover, react to it. And then it's kind of like static for a little while, few years, maybe 10 years, then something else happens. And then they'll go along. But then now we're seeing it, it's like damn near every week. Yeah. Every week there's some kind of crazy bullshit going on. And now I'm seeing what am I mean, I'm not watching the news a whole lot because I know it's a lot of horseshit, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff out there about Russia has already declared us as an enemy publicly. And we are supposedly the United States has got boots on the ground now in Ukraine.
Well, you're old enough to remember. How did it go when it was like in the 70s when it went from Reagan to Bush to Nick, from Nixon to Reagan to Bush to the Clinton administration? Like you said, there was a lull where everybody was happy and the economy was up, and then back to Obama. And
well, it's always this sine wave. It's always this fucking sine wave, but that sine wave's going like this now. That fucking thing's really going. And like you say, when Johnson was in, we were full balls deep into Vietnam. We were balls deep into Vietnam. Richard Nixon comes out, and we start to see a little bit of an increase, then a de-escalation back, right? Until finally they all come home, right? Saigon fell. Okay. So then we ended up with Ford, and we stayed in a relatively peaceful situation. The next big event that we had was the Iranian Revolution and the capture of hostages, American hostages, in the American embassy in Tehran. And that was a big thing. That was just like the death reports that we saw every day on the news. Every day on the news, they had day 400 of the hostage crisis, you know, and they kept going on with that. But we're always in this little sine wave that in recent times, in the recent years, seems to be turning into like a steady vibration of huge valleys, huge peaks. And you know, I think that, along with some of the things we're seeing in the sky, and going by what the tradition in the Christian tradition of the Bible, it says there will be signs in the heavens and in the earth for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. I mean, never in my life did I think I would be able to witness physical things supernaturally change. That's amazing to me. How in the fuck? And then I'm seeing for the first time in my life in the last year or so what people have been calling a Cheshire Cat moon. I have never, ever in my lifetime saw a crescent moon that was a bowl looking like a smiley face. I mean, there's just some really weird shit going on, and it seems to be just even the way that things are set up with what I was used to seeing when they're showing like the president and all this other government nonsense. It's just different now. It's almost like it's not real. Like there's something else, like there's just a facade there as a placeholder or some shit. I don't know how to explain it.
I know exactly what you mean. Like there's that wax museum movie where these kids go into town, and you know, it's like all the people are actors. They pretend like they're diner waitress or whatever, and come to find out they're all in cahoots to try to kill people that come in and visit the town.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like when I watch the TV, and they're all just these news actors, and it's like the wax museum where they're just faking it to get you to do what they want and to get to their end goal. It's very weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's looking you know, of course, it's been a little bit here now. They're spoiling for more war. We've got a new generation of firstborn sons. They're at the ripe age to be sent out for slaughter on the battlefields of some foreign land or even our own. This seems to be a regular occurrence. We call it war. I call it a blood sacrifice, because we already know the two supposed opposing sides are in cahoots with one another to begin with. So that's just a facade.
Well, how do you feel about like this reign of kingdoms? Do you think that the royalty of these old bloodlines are still in control?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it goes deeper than that. I think there's an esoteric aspect to it. I can't see someone trying to put a plan into action that knowingly that it's going to take generations for it to come to fruition. How would you ever know if your endeavors were successful unless you are only an entity that is using a human host,
right,
in succession? Your lifetime is much longer than a mortal human, and you're disguising yourself in the guise of humans.
My suspicion is that in this time of awakening, some of the new generation of these bloodlines are waking up in their own right, and they're saying, I don't want to be part of that. I think that's what happened to like Princess Diana. I think that's what happened to some of these people that have gone missing, or you know, no longer wanted to be on this place. So they say the narrative, you know, they off these people and just give us whatever they want on the TV, and we believe it.
Well, they needed Diana. Okay. And the reason they needed Diana was to freshen the genes, but to stay within the bloodline. Diana's actually got Rothschild lineage. The Rothschilds bred into the royal family back in the 1800s.
Would you agree that she was trying to go against what they were doing?
No, I would say that she or he were another actor on the world stage, another character.
And with those freaks, with that whole thing, and then you know that you've seen like the masks on Prince Harry and his wife. That's all very strange stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The whole queen and using these wild cards on the population. You know, like I think she died a long time ago, and then they pull out the card like, oh, she died right when they need an event to happen or people to pay attention, like smokescreen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It goes right down. I believe it's the Masons say that wherever the people need a hero, we shall provide it for them.
And that's that up and down.
Yeah. And even in infamy or in, they're going to put out their villains and their heroes. It's like a big stage production. Look, there's a reason that the whole floor is a big chessboard, man. All the world is just a stage. We are merely players, performers, and portrayers, each another's audience inside a gilded cage. Listen to the song Limelight by Rush. It puts it right there, man. And
we can outconscious this thing. We can do this.
Yes. They make us manifest our own misery.
Exactly.
People don't understand that. They make us manifest because
if we just
manifest what's in our thoughts. And if they direct our thoughts, then our thoughts are not our own. And therefore, what we manifest is not our own. We're not co-creating with God that way. We're being used by the adversary to create bullshit. That's what's going on. You're being used.
It's a hypnosis.
Yes.
It's a true hypnosis to the definition. You are under a spell.
This is why the archons hate us, because we have the power of creativity, but better yet, we have the power of co-creativity. We co-create things with the help of God. Archons cannot create things. They can only take things that have been created and pervert them. This is why in Hollywood, you don't see any new stories coming out. And if you do, it's very far and few between. It's rehashes and remakes and reboots. Same thing with music. There's no new music. They're using cut samples of already established music, sticking it together, saying a bunch of rappy beats to it and shit. They're not creating anything. They're perverting something that was already created.
Cyclicalness of it all, the repetitiveness, like you're saying, it is kind of, that's also odd. And I've noticed that in Hollywood and the movie thing, they'll just repeat the next generation. We've done the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 15 fucking times.
Yes.
And, it's just like, what, can't you come up with something new?
Even going back to the Magnificent Seven. Great movie. I think Lee Marvin, a lot of big actors in it. Oh, it's a Western, The Magnificent Seven. It was an adaptation of an already existing story called The Seven Samurais that went back a couple hundred years. I mean, it's all they do is just repeat, pervert that which has been created and use us in the meantime. And thereby limiting our creative abilities by focusing on the left hemisphere of our brain while withering the right hemisphere of our brain, the God side of the brain, the creative side of the brain, in lieu of all left side bullshit 1 and 0 activity.
I see it as like a sales technique. If it works on 5 people in a row and you're a new salesperson, if this new technique you're using starts to make sales, you're going to keep using it. You're going to use it as long as you can, as long as it's working, right? You're going to keep getting sales. That's what they're doing. They keep getting brainwashing. They keep doing the same technique over. And now they don't need whips and chains and slavery. They've got you under mind slave.
If you can get people to operate solely or majoritively into a place of pathos, they're easy to manipulate. Now, I learned that and I'm not proud of it, but I was very good at it. I was a timeshare salesman, and I was like one of the top salesmen until I just couldn't do it anymore because it weighed on my conscience. But one of my techniques that I would use, knowing this fundamental flaw in human beings, was to get their emotional side. I'd have the wife and sometimes the kids with me, and the husband sitting right next to me in my car. We're driving through the place, and I'm showing them all these things, and I'm strategically asking them questions that they would most undoubtedly answer yes to. What was I doing? I was getting them used to saying yes. And the whole time I was using my ballpoint pen as a gesturing tool.
Yeah, it's called primary.
Okay. And so why was that? So that when it comes to sign the contract, me pulling out the pen isn't as big of a shock to you. It's already been out there in your face the whole time. Just take a hold of it. And you will if I offer it to you. Okay.
Yeah, it's called primary. It's called primary. It's called primary. You primed them.
So then I'd get about halfway through my presentation and I'd say, you know, Ken, I got to ask you, this place is really something else, isn't it? Yes. Isn't this great? I mean, this is just a place you can come to all year long if you want to, any time of year, blah, 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 blah. And then here's the killer cat question. Now, don't you think that your wife and your kids are worth something at least like this? What's he going to do? Say no? They're right there. He's only going to be able to agree with me. And I've already got the kids geeked on it. They want it. And the wife, she's down for it, man. So this guy's going to look like a real shitheel if he says no. And it worked. But what I did was I played on the base emotions. I stayed away from logic and I just went into base emotions. It's so easy to do. And they use that on you at an even greater magnitude than that. There's a whole organizations designed to studying how to do that to you. Look into the Tavistock Institute, for crying out loud. This shit is, there's roundtable groups that sit around. Their primary job is to figure out how to fuck with your mind. Anyway.
Course on what refraction is and how it works, because understanding some of these details are going to be really helpful as we examine so many of the arguments that are raised during these flat earth debates. So for starters, the speed of light in a vacuum, otherwise known as c, is 299,792,458 meters per second, or just...
What's the one-way speed? Oh, we don't have that. Okay.
It's under 300,000 kilometers per second. Now, in reality, there are no perfect vacuums, even in space. So light is effective.
Also want to point out that just like the 9.8 meters squared, is not a constant. It's an average. In fact, they came up with this at a consensus because he had different physicists that come up with different speeds. And they had this physics convention in Bern, Switzerland in I think 1929, where they came to the consensus for the speed of light. And then they used that as a constant.
Wouldn't you need the fastest thing in the world to measure the fast? Like, how do you measure something that's faster than the equipment?
Yeah.
Maybe that's
they just calculated.
Well, calculate what though? What are they calculating? You have to have a shutter speed of a camera. You have to have some sort of equipment that's faster than that can capture the speed that it's moving. I don't understand.
That's why
they just base it on what they think could work. That's all.
That's just because there's a lot of people, including myself. I don't think that. Well, I don't know. I've seen some stuff too with high-speed camera that would suggest that it does indeed have a speed, but I don't know if it's a consistent.
Light is the coordinates for the Giza temple. You know, the pyramid, the Giza pyramid.
Yeah, it just so happens that that's exactly the same as the consensus they came to. Get out of here. I know. And who's going to go there and do that? Who's going to go there and check? Right? This is why I don't trust some of these fuckers. Like, you know, when you see, I'll tell you who to stay the hell away from is that Gaia TV. Anybody that's associated with that Gaia, run. You got like David Wilcox and some of these other fruitcakes, man. I used to enjoy a lot of Graham Hancock's work, but he just kind of went off the edge, you know? And that's what I found with a lot of these guys. And this is why I'm always wary of somebody who's out there and they're already big. You know what I mean? Never heard of them. All of a sudden, here they are, and they're already big. I'm always skeptical of these guys.
Like Neil deGrasse Tyson recruiting these actors with him now. You know, he needs these. Have you seen these TikToks with these little round table of actors?
Yeah.
They don't hide it. They're just actors. They're not experts or anything. But they're acting like they're talking about this factual stuff. It's crazy.
Well, he's an actor too, man. I saw he was in a McDonald's commercial back in the 80s. There ain't no shit, man. He's got an IMDb page.
He works for Disney. Yeah, he has he works for Disney. Him and Bill Nye. Both.
Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? And who was good friends with Walt Disney? Wasn't it? Oh yeah, Werner von Braun. They were good friends.
And who else was it? They produce his movies?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Stanley Kubrick. Holy shit.
Yeah. Man, these coinkydinks are just so crazy. Holy shit. Wilcox sells anti-gravity planes and ships. Yeah, I'm in a discussion group on Facebook called Anti-Gravity Devices. I thought that would be an interesting one to follow. And I'm on there. Somebody was on there talking about clouds of gas and dust in space forming into stars. And I started questioning them how the fuck that was even possible. And they weren't liking it. And I was like, these people, if they find out there's no gravity, what the fuck are they doing? Anti-gravity, right? Countering something that's not there. Boy, talk about going along a wrong premise. You know?
Always traveling through some kind of medium, and as such is always traveling at some speed slower than c. With the speed of light in air being very close to the speed of light in a vacuum, the speed of light in water being about 25% slower, and the speed of light through glass being about 2/3 that of the speed of light in a vacuum. Now, there's one singularly relevant property of light that's really at the heart of this discussion, something that's common to many other things that behave as waves, like sound, and that's that if it enters a medium with a different index of refraction, the change in its speed will also result in a change in its direction, which is effectively what the refractive index is, a value that
No, don't forget, Eratosthenes knew about all this shit when he calculated the radius of the Earth, okay?
represents just how much a medium is able to bend the path of light. The relationship between the different angles the light travels before and after refraction is very well understood and can be described using something called Snell's law. All you really need to know what the resulting path is going to be as light travels from one medium to another are the refractive indices of the two media, something you can easily find anywhere online, and the angle of incidence of the light. Now, this is, of course, super useful if you want to get into the finer details on refraction, but
he left an important point out there of Snell's law. The medium that separates the two require a barrier.
Yes, I was just about to say that it's through the Snell's law is through two mediums. It's not through one medium; it's through two medium.
Yep. And it requires that barrier for that index of refraction change.
So it's ridiculous.
Where those two mediums meet.
Snell's law when we're looking through light, when we're looking through one medium. If you were at sea level, you're only looking through one medium. Yeah. Snell's law does not has no place there.
Exactly, but that's why they try and appeal to Fermat's law, because they want it to work that way. But still, you still require two mediums. That's why you need that barrier, because that incident angle is where it hits at the barrier that changes the refracted angle.
Yeah,
no barrier, no refracted angle.
And that's why I say, so no matter what psi asked, this is the question, no matter if the refraction and Snell's law are present, then no matter what size ball you're on, it's always going to look flat. That doesn't make sense. It would just look flat if it was flat.
And there again, that's the snow job shit. That's the gaslighting. Always, oh, your senses are fucking wrong because of this.
No, bro.
I know. That's refractor gravel X.
Shut up. Go somewhere. You're drunk. Go home. That's, if somebody came up to the bar and started saying that shit.
Gotta go. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of the stream, guys.
All right, Keith. Have a good
Blessings.
night, man. We'll see you next time, bro. Thanks for coming on, man. Always good to have Flatsoid on here. And that's something else, too. He just got up out of the sack, too, man. It's early. It's the crack of I don't want to get up over in South Africa right now. Bless his heart, he comes up on here. So got to give him a shout out for that, man. Anyway, yeah, he and I turned out to be a pretty good damn team debating. We were,
Yeah.
That was fun. I had a good time tearing those two clowns up, man. That was fun.
You guys are smart.
It's not terribly practical for, say, the average person in their day-to-day life, just casually considering how refraction might be playing a role in something they see. So let me share a useful analogy that helped me get a bit more of an intuitive grasp on what's going on here. This little metaphor will hopefully help you get an idea for how the path of light generally changes when it enters a medium with a different refractive index. Imagine a car driving over some asphalt in a straight line, approaching an area of road at an angle covered with a thick layer of sand. Now, the asphalt doesn't have a ton of resistance against your tires. It's quite easy to drive over, representing something akin to a less dense medium with a relatively low refractive index. Now, the sand, on the other hand, will provide much more resistance to the car as it drives. It's much more dense and represents a medium with a relatively high refractive index.
Okay, so I think we've successfully pretty much fucking destroyed this argument of theirs without even having to go any further into it. Unless y'all want me to. I mean, I can go on. I saw an interesting section here because I'm just going to go to different places and address these topics. The football field example. Oh my God.
I hate that one.
They don't understand perspective table experiment. Okay. They don't understand language. Oh, that's not true either. Let's see. They don't understand gravity. Yeah, that's the one we want to go to.
They don't
understand gravity. Don't you have to actually verify that something exists before you can actually God damn it. Wait, let me get it up to there, and then we're just gonna have to use those arrow beads. Shit, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, come on, you stupid circle of death. What the hell?
Density and
fuckers. There. I mean, this thing is hard to navigate because, I mean, we're talking about like, 7 hours and 44 minutes. How long do you figure that thing took to undergo uploading, then doing all the checks and all that other shit from the time that the guy started the upload of this video to the time that it was published? How long do you think it went?
As long as it's anti-flat Earth, it got passed right through. I swear to God, it took 0 checks. I promise you.
They loaded this right directly onto the
club. Like, you roll up to the front line, you're like, yeah, I hate flat Earth. Like, come on in.
Yeah, he was hooked right up to. He was doing this right on the YouTube server. That's what was going on there, man. There ain't no way. I can only imagine it would have took it like a day or some shit, you know?
Oh,
I can't see somebody spending 8 hours putting all this fucking bullshit together and then expect that somebody's going to sit and actually watch the entire 7 hour and 44 minute production.
As long as they save one stupid globy, it's worth it, right?
Oh my God. Did you see that picture I put up on Facebook today?
Mm-mm.
It's got a picture of this kid holding a ball on a train tracks. And he says, I'll pull it up here in a little bit, but it says Globetard on his shirt. And then it's a picture of Superman with a NASA logo on his shirt, holding back a train, trying to hold back this speeding train that says Flat Earth on it. And it's like he's protecting the Globetard, man. It's fucking hilarious. I'll find it, put it up. Anyway, here's what they got to say because we don't understand gravity.
I'm gonna let you get to it. It's late for me. You go ahead, my friend. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm only gonna go probably at the most another half hour before I cut out of here myself.
I forgot. We are coming, so we are planning on coming.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll get everything. We'll have everything ready to go then, so that everything's good for you and everybody in the downstairs for the stay over, and we'll do a show, man. We'll do a show.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. Your kids are gonna love flying midgets. Are cool.
I can't wait, bro. I can't wait. We'll see you soon.
I had some snowflakes last year. I uploaded some of the video from the dwarfinators that I'd captured. You know, I put it up on there, and of course, oh my God, snowflakes! Oh, you're exploiting midgets, and I'm like,
oh no,
dude, they're making bank. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's real.
These guys love it. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Take away that poor guy's livelihood?
Right. What else are they gonna do? They can't do most jobs. Let them have this one. And dude, I'm telling you, I went to one, and these midgets are more athletic than you are. You know, they're jumping fucking off the triple top rope, doing double somersaults, catching each other. It's nuts. They're little circus freaks.
Oh man, they come out in the audience, man, bashing each other with chairs and shit. It's funny, man. It's awesome.
Well,
all
I'll
right,
see you
Mike.
soon.
Thanks for coming up, man.
Yeah,
We'll
man.
See you next time, brother.
See ya.
For those of you that don't know, we've got the Dwarfinators midget wrestling is coming to little town over here, just a hop, skip, and a jump away from me here in the Shenandoah Valley at the end of this month. And THC is coming out to where I live. We're going to go there to the thing together. I think I might have some other people going too. So we'll see what's going on with that, but that should be a lot of fun. Like I said, I went last year and it was a blast, man. It was just a fucking blast. Anyway, let's get back into see what they don't understand about gravity. And then I think that'll probably wrap us up for tonight. I'm not going to, we can't cover a whole 8-hour thing, but I wanted everybody to see how desperate the Globers actually are that they had to resort to this 8 hours of damage control. And I guarantee you, if nobody's going to sit and watch this entire thing. I mean, maybe a couple people, but it's a good thing you don't have to watch a whole video in order for a view count to register, because I don't see it happening. Anyway.
Instead want to redefine the words that we use and then tell us we're wrong to use them that way. But the sad and obvious truth is that they have absolutely zero grasp on any of the concepts or terminology that they're claiming to debunk.
Oh, okay.
For example, they reject that gravity, either in the Newtonian or Einsteinian sense, actually exists.
It's never been proven to exist, so why would I entertain it? I'm not entertaining magical leprechaun spells either. Just saying.
Their parroted explanation for what causes things to fall down is generally, quote unquote, density and buoyancy. But in order for this to make even a minuscule amount of sense, they need to redefine half of the terms and fail to understand exactly what the explanation provided by gravity actually accomplishes. What we're examining is why things fall to the ground. An oversimplified explanation for gravity is that the curvature of space-time results in an emergent attractive force between all masses that's proportional to their mass and inversely proportional to the square of their distances.
And the proof of this, or experimentation devised to verify this hypothesis, was what? Anybody? Nothing? I don't think so. It's not a debate, Barbara. He's just coming on we're going to ask him some questions. I think Flatoid's going to be here too to ask some questions as well regarding the final experiment, relationship to others that are going on the trip and so on, that kind of thing. We're not really going to be debating. We might throw some questions out there, but as far as like a debate's concerned, I don't think it's going to be that. It should be very, very good though. Should be very good. because you know me, I like to ask very logical and cognitive questions if possible. Anyway, so there's no experimentation or anything involved around this. This is the hypothesis of someone, and they described it with mathematics, and then it was accepted as reality because of math.
It's not even a hypothesis because they didn't even observe it.
No.
Like no one observes
provides answers
like
to the
gravity.
why, the how.
No, you see an effect and you can say, well, oh, that's gravity. Well, I say it's a council of elves that live within the earth that will things to come back to it. You got as much proof of gravity as I've got of my magic elf council, So you can't just observe something, make up a reason that you think it is, and not have verified that hypothesis.
How, the direction, and the magnitude. We can explain everything we see and make predictions about what will happen under various conditions, and for all intents and purposes, it all works perfectly. And I'll try and keep this simple for any flat earth.
Because you can calculate a bending of space-time? Shut the
There's watching. Why does a bowling ball fall to the ground?
The bowling ball falls to the ground because its relative density to the medium that it's in is denser. Therefore, the medium will not support the object. Real simple shit there. Okay. What's causing its weight? The relative density of the object within the medium. Change the medium, change the weight. Gravity debunked. Boom.
Earth, very big mass. Bowling ball, little mass. Ball drawn towards big mass. All go down at 9.8 meters per second squared. Why does a bowling ball and a feather fall at different speeds? Earth, very big mass. Bowling ball, little mass. Feather, very little mass. Ball and feather drawn towards big mass. Ball and feather go down at 9.8 meters per second squared. Air between ball and feather get in way. Air push much more on feather than push on ball. Feather slow down.
So what was the independent variable that was different in that as opposed to the vacuum chamber? What was the difference? What was modulated? What became the ultimate factor in changing the rate of drop on both of those objects? Could it be the relative density to the medium that they're in? Yes.
I mean, like at a more at a more deeper level, he's just kind of giving you his interpretation of what's going on. He's not even trying to prove it. He's literally just asserting it.
Well, he just got done telling you what changed the rate of drop. He just told you what changed the rate of drop. So was gravity what was responsible for the rate of drop, or was it the medium? So if we thicken up the medium, will that bowling ball drop in water as fast as it does through air? No. Nope. How about the feather? Nope, not at all. Okay. So just assuming things fall, therefore gravity is retarded. That doesn't even make any sense. Especially when you don't even have anything tangible. It's all made up off of a crackpot theory, which would be dependent on the density of the earth, which you would have to know what the diameter of the earth was. You would have to know all of this shit, and if you falsify the radius, then there goes all of your fucking orbital mechanics out the goddamn window. Change the mass of a body just slightly, and you've changed everything. Everything. So this is all cockamamie bullshit out of somebody's head, man.
Does a feather and a bowling ball fall at the same speed in a vacuum? Earth, very big mass. Bowling ball, little mass. Feather, very little mass. Ball and feather,
medium, less dense.
Drawn towards big mass.
No.
Ball and feather go down at 9.8 meters per second squared. No air between ball and feather to get in way.
Ball and feather both denser than nothing.
Fall same speed. Now, really quick, I want to clarify something because lots of people get hung up on this. They think that because the bowling ball has more mass, it should have quote unquote more gravity, so it should fall faster. But that's not exactly right. The acceleration due to gravity is constant. That's the 9.8.
Acceleration is claimed to be constant. Okay? Just assuming a cause for the acceleration does not make it any more real than it was before. Even if I change this over here to a G, does not validate the existence of gravity, as we are talking about an observed effect. Observed effect is not cause. And yes, I did use the word cockamamie, Ryan. I did indeed. Russia, big country. Ukraine, small country. I mean, good God, this guy.
8 meters per second squared for everything on Earth. What changes in the equation is the resulting force, not the acceleration. There's much more.
Oh, wait, what force are you talking about? Gravity is not considered a force. Gravity is considered to cause a force. Sorry, Veritas, Mr. Decepio.
More force involved to accelerate the bowling ball the same amount as is required to accelerate the smaller mass of the feather. Two different objects with different masses still have the same acceleration applied to them. What's different is the total resulting force.
If I take a vacuum chamber down to the lowest pressure possible inside of it, is it now void of a medium? No, it is not. There is still a medium within that chamber. The only way for there not to be any medium whatsoever would be is when the sides of that were crushed together with no room for anything else. Okay, there is still a medium inside of the vacuum chamber. So what did we do with the vacuum chamber? We reduced the density of the medium in comparison to the density of the objects. So this makes the medium the independent variable when we're dropping things and not gravity. Thank you.
Well, in my left hand, I have a feather.
Density
In my
bombs.
right
There you
hand,
go.
a hammer. And I guess one of the reasons we got here today was because of a gentleman named Galileo a long time ago who made a rather significant discovery
Galileo.
about falling objects in gravity fields. And we thought that where would be a better place to confirm his findings than on the moon. And so we thought we'd try it here for you. The feather happens to be appropriately a falcon feather for our falcon.
Man, I'm surprised that, they had room to take a feather up into space with them so that they could do this little thing up there. I mean, not that it would take up a lot of room, but I mean, I think, Buzz Aldrin had fucking silver dollars stashed all over, I guess, up there. So phew. Anyway, like they really did this. Okay.
And I'll drop the two of them here, and hopefully they'll hit the ground at the same time. How about that? Which proves that Mr. Galileo was correct in his findings.
Galileo was correct in his findings? Okay.
Why does a helium-filled balloon go up? Earth, very big mass. Balloon, very, very small mass. Air, slightly more mass. Air and balloon both drawn towards big mass. Air drawn towards big mass.
Air is not drawn toward mass. I'm sorry. No one has been able to, and I've been asking now for about 2 years, for someone to successfully demonstrate a downward acceleration of air due to gravity, or at the very least that there is a downward exclusive pressure of air. And there isn't. There isn't. Pounds per square inch is not a weight. Pounds per square inch is the force of displacement. Okay? It's the amount of pressure that's exerted on every square inch of the surface of your body. Not the top portions of your body exposed to the upward area so that there's downward vector of air is crushing down on you or some shit. That's some of the dumbest shit I ever heard. Somebody trying to tell me that even if gravity did exist, gas is not affected by it. Okay, I don't know where they get this idea. I don't know how they even could possibly entertain such a stupid idea.
Mass make big pressure. Big pressure push up on balloon. Air go down, balloon go up. Why does a helium-filled balloon go down in a vacuum? Earth, very big mass. Balloon, very, very small mass. Balloon drawn down towards big mass. No air in box. So no big pressure push up on balloon.
Take away the balloon. What happens to the helium? So the gas isn't being drawn down because of gravity. The gas is going down because the balloon is heavy. What a retard. This guy is literally retarded.
Balloon go down.
I mean, I feel sorry for anybody that watches this shit and can't see it for the stupidity that it is. I mean, what in the world?
No wonder why this guy didn't want to talk about it.
Whoops, I fucked up.
Hey everyone, it's been quite some time since I've talked about.
I fucked up. Hold on. What'd I do? I went to
the Earth is
This is the Dave Farina video.
Two adults argue with each other publicly.
No, that was from something else. Where was I at? I was at the gravity. They don't understand gravity. There it is. Let's see where I was at. Close to. Right about there. That's close enough. I mean, I don't know how much more of this guy I can fucking take.
Like, no wonder he never wanted to speak about gravity, you know?
Well, they can't. They can't prove it. It's an excuse. They say it's a scientific theory. I call it an excuse. For everything they can't explain, that's what they fucking slap on it. You know? I mean, every freaking time. 1 gram is 1 gram in this medium. How much is 1 gram in another medium? Is it still 1 gram? No, it's not. I mean, the fact that things actually get heavier in a vacuum ought to tell people that there's not a downward pushing of air.
I know, right? It's weird that they present it as if it's like proof of gravity, but it really just confirms the whole, medium and object relationship.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah. They just refute themselves. It's really weird.
They just got done saying that now you're on the right track. Yes, that air is pushing up on the helium balloon. Absolutely. Why? Because where that helium balloon, as it seeks relative density, the place where it was at, the air rapidly fills in that hole that was there where the balloon was, doesn't it? And where's this all occurring if the thing is going upward? Behind it, right? Same thing if something's dropping. What's happening behind this as it drops? It's filling in with the medium rapidly. This really isn't difficult shit to understand. You don't have to make up some kind of a pseudo force to make it have it work.
As I mentioned, density is just a measurement of mass per unit volume. It's a scalar, not a vector, and it's not a force. Nothing about density has anything to do with a force moving something by some amount in some direction.
Displacement. If the object is in a state of disequilibrium, i.e., it is not equal in relativity to the medium in which it resides. Depending on which side of the scale that's on, it's either going to go up, it's going to go down, or if it's equal, it won't move at all. It will remain static, as we saw in that example of that balloon hovering in the middle of a room. Why was that happening? Because it was at a state of equilibrium. It neither had to rise nor fall in order to achieve equilibrium, because it was at that state within where it sat. I mean, what the hell?
So that's simply nonsense. A buoyancy, as we just went over, is literally defined as a gravitational force. It has G in the equation.
It is not.
So it seems awfully odd to try and
Buoyancy is not defined as a gravitational force. The man whose name is on the screen right now, Archimedes, came up with the principles of buoyancy and density 1900 years before gravity was even postulated.
Yep.
So this guy is just full of shit from the get-go.
It's in the modern equations, but it's not like inherent to the idea of buoyancy.
No. All they said was that it was due to gravity. Weight due to gravity. Well, weight due to gravity proves that the weight is due to gravity. Because as I've exemplified before, I can change the weight by changing the medium. So obviously the weight is not caused by gravity. Weight is the relative density of the object within the given medium. It's a quantification of that. Since we are air-breathing creatures, we use this as the default medium. If we were undersea-dwelling creatures at 20,000 feet under the ocean or some shit, then our standard for the medium, the default position for the medium, would be that of which where we are at. All of our shit would look completely different.
place gravity as an explanation by invoking something that gravity is directly responsible for. What it seems like they want to do is hijack the term, benefit from our understanding of it, and just ignore that gravity bit because it's inconvenient for them. Buoyancy without gravity is like dinner without food. You can point to a bunch of...
No,
you mean
it's
without
just removing the part that you can't prove.
They're again assuming that weight is due to gravity.
I know.
That's an assumption. See?
It's just a big circle.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
This is what they do. Like they assume their own, worldview and then present that as proof of their worldview. You know? So these guys are claiming that it's not gravity, but I know it's gravity because it is gravity, guys. Like,
yeah, you see what that in the formula on the screen right there. Okay. G, acceleration. Why is it necessary to put due to gravity on there? It's not even a function or any reason to be there in the fucking equation at all. Is it?
It's just because
it doesn't say fluid density due to it being water. It doesn't say fluid volume due to it being in a bucket. It doesn't give any reason of why there's a fluid volume or anything else. The acceleration is accepted as the downward acceleration. Why is it necessary to hypnotically include the reason for the acceleration in the fucking formula? That's dumb. That's straight up more mind candy right there.
It's just like brain rot.
Yeah.
There's silverware and dishes on the dinner table and say that you prepared a meal, but that doesn't actually serve as a functional replacement. You got to cook something up as an alternative. Otherwise, you haven't provided anything of substance. By removing gravity...
First off, there's nothing to have to replace. We don't need a replacement for gravity because gravity's never been established. Secondly, falsification is independent of replacement.
Yeah. It's just something that they never understand, by the way. It's so hard. They're like a brick wall. This is one of the major things that comes into almost all their questions. It's not just because your story is wrong doesn't mean I need to go craft a new mythology for you.
I say, you know, that's like they say, well, no, the sun is a donkey's ass that's on fire flying around in the sky. And you say, well, no, it's not. Well, what is it then?
Yeah, I know.
Well,
you need to tell me what it is, or else I can believe it's a donkey's ass, you know?
Yeah, I mean, all I have to do is no, it's not a flaming donkey ass. Okay?
I know.
So what is
I
it?
know.
It's
Like,
not that.
I know.
You
It's
know?
like, I don't know. It's like if I said that clouds were like fire, like you wouldn't need to, you know all the intricacies of a cloud to tell me that no, there's not fire in the sky.
No, and good Lord, I certainly wouldn't have to have an entire YouTube channel dedicated to debunking fire clouds.
Yeah,
Would
I know. Honestly, like that's a pretty good example. Like you don't need to know. Like you don't need to take samples from the clouds to know that there's not just like like balls of fire that's hurling about.
Right.
In the sky. Or if I said like the sky is like fire, basically, like the entire sky is just a big inferno, you wouldn't need to know all of meteorology and like fluid mechanics to refute me.
If something was fucking ludicrous, like you're saying, who's even going to spend any time to bother refuting it?
Yeah, or if I said that whiskey was actually cyanide and you were like, nah, it's not. Well, then what is it then? What's the chemical compound?
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I have an explanation of what this cup is, right? I think that this cup contains cyanide. If you disagree with me because you can drink it and it's perfectly fine, then you need to tell me what exactly it is, or else you're pseudoscience, pal.
Right. Or it's like when my analogy of if I claim that I can turn into a chicken, right? You don't have to prove that I can't. Right?
I know it's
all right. It's not up to you to prove that I can't. I have to. I have the positive claim, and it's like, oh well, if I can't turn into a chicken, what kind of an animal can I turn into?
Yeah, I know.
That's where they go, and it's like you can't turn into any kind of fucking animal. Stop.
Yeah, I know. It's like I can grow wings and fly, and you're like, no. Or can you prove that? And it's like, well, then what's going on? What is actually going on? And you're like, well, no, you're not growing wings and flying. But you're like, okay, well, I have a model, of how I grow wings and I fly, and I'm, like the archangels and shit.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe in that, then you're pseudoscience. You need to give me a model.
And look, here's a computer generated model showing me if I had wings flying. So that's proof. Jesus criminally, man.
From the equation, you've removed the singular element that explains the direction and the magnitude. And
Doesn't
the painfully
explain.
obvious thing is how, when flat earthers are challenged to explain the direction, it's clear they're operating under the assumption that gravity exists without acknowledging it or even realizing it, demonstrating they never really understood it to begin with. When asked why, using their
the smugness coming off of them, holy shit, the absolute pride. They never really understood it anyway.
I know.
As if we don't know the equations, as if we've not looked into it, as if we didn't go to school, for example, and get taught it, right? Like none of us have heard of Newtonian mechanics, right?
Right, never heard none of this shit ever before. The difference between this guy and us is the fact that we actually questioned it.
I know, but he was like, makes sense.
Of course, because teacher says, you remember that? There was always them little assholes in school and said, teacher said, teacher said.
Like the suck up.
Yeah. That's what I had. This kid that sat in front of me, this girl, and she was always narking me out for shit. And she had these long braids.
Snitch.
Oh yeah, all the time. And she was always raising her hand and all the time talking down to people and shit like that.
Was she the one that would be like, teacher, did you not remember the homework assignment?
yeah, that one, teacher,
like, you know, like
this, or I saw so and so doing that type, right? So anyway, you know how there's like that little hole in the back of a school chair? You know, it's like right in
yeah.
the school chair. Well, she had these long ass braid back down the middle of her hair, right down here to about the middle of her back. And I real carefully reached through that hole with my finger without her noticing. And I pulled her hair down through that hole. And then I took a brand new pencil and stuck it through the braids. And then just waited for the bell to ring. That bell rang, that girl went to stand up and damn near jerked her own freaking head off. Boy, I'll tell you what, she never nerked again. That's for sure.
Well, snitches get stitches.
Damn straight, brother. Damn
Yeah.
straight.
And this is what these guys are. These guys are like the teacher's pet on YouTube.
Well, here's how it went down in our household. You can even ask my kids. Now, Ryan, he didn't grow up in my household. He grew up in his mother's household. But in my household, if one kid snitched on the other one, okay, the other one would get in trouble for whatever it was that they'd done. But the other kid who snitched got in worse trouble for snitching. That's how I ran it. That's how I ran it. The kid that snitched, he got worse punishment than the person that done wrong. Unless it was something like real serious, you know. But that's just tattling to try to get somebody in trouble for some shit. I ain't down for that. Not at all. I can't stand that. And people like that, the people that always want to call the police and shit like that, I have no respect for a man that calls another man to solve his problems. Not a bit. Not a bit.
I mean, like, you know, isn't it in your intro, there's a little info card that says, like, be your own hero or something?
Yeah. Sometimes I play that.
No one's coming to save you. Be your own hero and defend yourself.
Yeah, be accountable for yourself. Be actionable, not reactive.
That's why it's good in America. They've got, like, the Second Amendment. Like, it's a very good thing because you can
there ain't
protect
nobody
yourself
here
and you
got
don't need the
balls
police.
There ain't nobody got balls enough to use it for its intended purpose. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the mess we are. I was idealistic. I expected Washington to be up in flames by now. But no, these people, they'll put up with what the fuck ever. They'll swallow whatever shit is fed to them. They will put up with it. Now, they might go on Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube and bitch and complain and say some real tough shit. But as far as anybody taking any kind of action, it ain't never going to happen. And they know that.
Yeah, I mean, all the, like, Americans online, like, I want the Civil War. I'm going to fight. I'm going to lead the revolution. And it's like, you can't walk up a flight of stairs.
Yeah. I mean, it's
those kind of people.
Yeah. I mean,
Mr. I'm gonna lead the revolution, but I stutter at McDonald's when I'm ordering a burger.
If you want to know how many people will actually stand up, just look at the amount of people that refused to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that wasn't very many.
And the vax as well.
Wasn't many. So what I'm saying is those are the few. The rest of these fucktards will put up with whatever's given to them. They'll put up.
Yeah.
And they'll go and ask for it again, like they're gonna do this November. They'll go and ask for it again.
It's weird. Like, it was actually weirdly, like, simple and easy just to not get the vax, you know?
Yeah, well,
it's really easy. You literally just say no, and then, like, I don't know why people were so scared about saying no about it. You just say no, and they don't do anything.
Good Lord, come and get me when it's my time. Okay, doctors ain't going to stave off the specter of death. They've never cured death. Never. Okay,
I know, right? I know, like, people have a weird obsession with, like, living forever.
I know. Good.
It's like the Epic of Gilgamesh. You know how Gilgamesh, like, the whole thing is like he wants to be like, you know, like, live forever.
Yeah.
They're all like that. They're literally all like him.
No, you can't. And who the fuck wants to? You know,
I
mean,
know
come on.
it's weird. Honestly, folk will be like, "Oh, I hate this world. I hate my life," but they'll also be like, "Man, I can't wait for modern technology to let me live forever and upload my consciousness to Facebook." It's like, what the
Well,
fuck?
look at it this way. Let's suppose you went to an amusement park, okay, and you
Aye.
get on this ride, and that's the only one you ride. That's the only one you ride. You don't get off that one and get on a different one. You don't have any other experiences at all. None. Just on the teacup ride indefinitely. Right there. Boom. That's the way I look at it. Okay. This experience is cool. I love the world. I love life. It's great. It's wonderful, but there's more.
Yeah.
And, you know, rather than me fear the inevitable, I kind of, although not looking anxious for it, but still a bit of excitement as to, wow, what's that going to be like?
Yeah, I know. Like, it's actually
know,
like you
that's
can
where I'm
be
at.
excited. You can be like, everyone gets to find out what the hell happens. You know?
Yeah. You know, I mean, you waited a lifetime to find out. There it is.
Yeah, like you can just put it to like the back of your head and just be like, you know. Well, actually, like you should think about it. Like there is a usefulness in thinking about your death, but you shouldn't go about it in like, I don't know, like
Well,
the
it
pessimistic
depends.
way.
When you have a nihilistic view of death,
Yeah, like that's bad.
you know, that ain't good. That's
That's
why I
bad
think
because
it's so
you're
cool. If you look at like the difference between like a funeral in most areas as opposed to like one in New Orleans, okay, that's wild, man, because they play a dirge on the way to the funeral home or to the graveyard. And boy, when they come back, it's full-fledged Dixieland jazz. These people are fucking partying. They're celebrating that person's life, not mourning their death. Mourning is a selfish act because you're focusing on what that person's passing did to you.
Yeah.
Right? Not what's going on with them. I wonder what they found out, you know, that kind of thing. Boy, did we ever enjoy him when he was here? Or even on the flip side of the coin, what a fucking asshole. I'm glad he's gone. You know, I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah, there was, you know, like your family writes a little thing about you when you like die, right? What's that thing called? Like your family gets to write a thing in like the paper or something when like you die.
Obituary.
Yeah. Years ago, I found this really funny one that was just so mean. It was literally just like this daughter that didn't really know her dad and just hated him. Was like, yeah, he never really did anything. He was like a cheating bastard, never helped anybody. Like, good riddance, honestly. No one's gonna miss him. No one even knew him. Fuck him. Like, it was wild. I loved it.
I found an Indian cemetery from like around, well, there were some modern graves in it too when I was out in California. And there was one, I think it was from like the 80s. Now, here's the thing, there's a lot of young people in that graveyard. And unfortunately, one of the things that takes the life of a lot of Native Americans is alcoholism. And one of the graves actually had a funnel and a hose hooked up on it that the mourners that would come visit the grave were supposed to pour whiskey into, and the hose went down into the grave where he was at. And I was like, no way, man. This guy's even wanting to be an alcoholic when he's dead. You know, but some crazy shit like that. Anyway, let's see if we can get through this last little bit on
oh yeah,
we don't understand gravity, and then I'm gonna have to get off here. It's going up past 3 hours now.
Yeah, like it's been a while.
Cocked explanation: a helium-filled balloon goes up, they say, because it's less dense than the air.
That's a hot air balloon, but yeah, same principle.
And the air goes down, so of course the balloon goes up. But that's only an intuitive answer to them because they live in a world where gravity pulls things down. That direction is very specific to gravity, and without it, it's entirely arbitrary. With their notion of some kind of disequilibrium of density, there's no reason why denser things wouldn't go up or left or right. They just...
What? Now, what area let's look at this little picture right here. Now, what area in that picture do you think would be of relative or greater density to that sheep or goat or whatever? Would it be the air? No, it wouldn't be the air. How about the sky above it? No, it wouldn't be the sky above it, would it? Would it be the ground? Yeah, I think it would be. So if the object is seeking relative density, the direction to go would be toward relative density, not up in the air. I don't know where these fucking idiots. I've had so many other
Yeah,
people
I know.
say
It's
that
one of the most
nonsense to
common
me.
fucking questions. It's one of the most common questions. It's literally just, well, why doesn't it go up? Because like the air is less dense up the way, and it's like, what? Talking about?
Is the density of the air relative to the, I mean, is it near the same as the goat? Nope, it's not.
No.
So then what in the actual fuck are you talking about, man?
No, it's like the point is that the medium can't support it.
There you go.
Like, but they're like, okay, but why wouldn't it support from above? And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they just invent the most weirdest shit ever. But when you watch like popular anti-flat Earth channels, they give the same thing. So I think they just got it from them.
I think that they're just really stupid and can't understand basic physics.
Yeah, there was one like guy in Flatsoy's comment section like ages ago that was like, well, you have to admit that down is like a special direction or whatever. It's some like mystical, esoteric fucking like way to go. And it's like, what are we even talking about? It gets so detached from reality so fast. We go from like the air supports the helium, right? But the air doesn't support like a sheep, right? To downward being like a special, what the fuck does it even mean? A special direction. What the fuck does it even mean? How is it special?
I don't know, man. I think they're special.
If anything, side to side would be special.
That would be
like, when do you see shit randomly going side to side, like in the air? Like when?
Right.
Just like normal things. Like if I take a coin and I drop it.
I don't think we're gonna get through this.
Yeah, it's way too long. It's just the same.
Well,
shit
I just
over
wanted
and
to get
over
through
and
that
over.
little section on gravity, and it's about halfway through it, but
we did good.
So yeah, as you can see, if anybody wants to go and watch that ludicrous gob of shit, by all means, go ahead.
What was the Latin word for like falsehood again?
Decepio.
Oh yeah, but is that for deception or falsehood?
Deception.
All right.
Yeah, because his name, I found it appropriate because his name is
Veritas.
He calls himself Veritas, which means
truth.
Truth, and he's all about deception, obviously. So that's why we called him that. There's Mojo Shop. We got a lot of people showed up in here. Sorry if I didn't call you out. Iron FE, Crypt Rick, good to see you, my man. I'm going to be on Crypt Rick's show next month. I believe it's July 1st. I have to check my calendar again. I'm pretty sure. Going to also this next Tuesday, we should have Will Duffy on here. Flatsoid said he's going to try to make it on here as well that night. And we've got a few questions of our own and some stuff that we'd like to know from Mr. Duffy.
All right.
Tuesday, that'll be at 9. We're going to be a little bit earlier. I'm trying to accommodate so he didn't have to be as late. It's going to be a little more of a pain in the ass for Flatsoid, but it's more convenient for Duffy. See how I have to juggle this shit? Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of Lowry's in here. Criminy, we got a lot of good people up here tonight. Let's see, anybody. Dr. Bass Ackwards is with us here tonight. Riley Studios. Good to see everybody. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. If you want to go and watch this steaming pile of excrement, you're welcome to. As I said, I put the link to it down here in the description. It is broken up in chapters, but because it is so long, it is very difficult to navigate through.
Yeah.
So
watch it in chunks over a few days.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, man, you deserve an award of some kind if you if you actually can wade your way through that shit.
I mean, I watched quite a bit of it. Like, I went pretty far in it.
Did you?
Yeah, and then I also flicked through it and I found, like the hilarious anti-Semitism one. There's a whole part of the video that's called Nathan Thompson is a creep. That one's pretty funny. That one's pretty wild. Just a whole part, just fuck this guy. Like, that one's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, I mean, in a real simple question, I actually exposed that he is indeed getting all of this from just nonsense shit that he heard. Just by asking that simple question, why would you think it was a globe if nobody told you, man?
I know, and he calls us parrots, and his whole video is just parroting shit that we've heard for the past, 10 years.
Yep.
He's like, oh, well, you're just, parroting, lunatics and con artists and shit, right? And then you watch his video, and it's just the same shit we get daily basis.
Well, when he was held to the fire with some of that, and, forced to kind of defend these views, and found out that we were not what he assumed at all.
Aye.
That kind of took him for a loop right there. So hopefully, but this is exactly what I said it is. It's nothing more than a 7-hour and 45-minute drastic attempt at damage control because of the exponential growth that is happening within people coming to the realization of flat Earth.
I know. I know. I mean, that's why we got the Sabine video.
Yeah.
That's why we got her video. It's like, flat Earth are just scaring me because they're growing in popularity.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how he said that he didn't get any help or something, but he literally did.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, it's 3 hours and 16 minutes now into the show. Elle, thanks for coming up. Roger, wherever you have gone to, thank you for coming up as well. We also had Mike from the Truthers Hour of Comedy was up here tonight in Flatsoy. We had a lot of good people up here tonight. A lot of good people in the chat too. We had well over 100 at one time. That was really good. And I think we're going to call it with that tonight. And so with no further ado, like we always tell you on this show, the Lord loves a working man. Don't trust Whitey. And see your doctor and get rid of him because he'll probably kill your ass. So till next time, good night.